Mets trying to close out the homestand on a winning note as they take on the Nats. First pitch by Mike Pelfrey coming right up. Last night got the Nats off to a good start as they built a 6-1 lead before the Mets got to the Washington bullpen. A little different lineup. Christian Guzman moved into the 5-hole and playing shortstop today. Ian Desmond, after making that key error in the Mets' big inning, getting the day off from Jim Riggleman today. Will Nieves gets the day game after the night game behind the plate as Pudge Rodriguez, at 38 years old, will sit out. And Mike Pelfrey takes the hill for his 7th start of the year.
And his 8th appearance, folks. Remember that save he got in that 20-inning ball game, 4-1. I liked the strikeouts to the innings pitched. I love the walks to innings pitched. So Mike has just become reborn here. The growth, watching him grow over his short career, he has just been outstanding so far this year. And Alexis Mets defense, Mr. Bay out there hasn't made an error in quite some time. That's a lot of Wagos without making an error. And he has played a really, really solid left field here at Citi Field under adverse conditions. We've seen a lot of balls falling and dropping of opposing teams. He has played the wind here, the early strong winds, wonderfully in left field.
The umpiring crew for today: James Hoy has the plate, Wally Bell, Laz Diaz, and the crew chief John Hirschbeck. You mentioned the wind, Keith, and the wind's a little different today. It's out of the east-northeast, so more in from right field, where we've seen the wind mostly in from left or left to right. There you see the flag blowing a little bit toward left. 48 degrees at game time, a misty drizzle in the air, a rather unpleasant afternoon, but the Mets hoping things go as pleasantly on the field as they did last night. Nigel Morgan leads things off, and Mike Pelfrey gets the afternoon started with a fastball on the outside corner. Morgan 2 for 9 in the series, hitting at .266.
I thought that Jim Riggleman had a little bit of an early hook, quick hook on Greg Olson. Not Greg Olson. Scott Olson. I'm thinking of the old reliever for the Orioles there. Excuse me. I'm getting Anyway, I thought he gave him kind of a quick hook there. I thought he was throwing well enough to go another inning or two.
And by the way, so did he.
Yes, he was not happy.
He was not a happy camper, and made that quite clear as Pelfrey strikes out Morgan on 3 pitches. Quite a way to start the afternoon for Mike Pelfrey.
Well, just fastball up and in. Well, that tied him up big time.
It's a fairly miserable afternoon, Keith, and if a pitcher is going to attack you on this kind of a day, is fastball the way to go?
Well, you can attack you inside, but you got to be careful. Hitters can hit in this weather too. You know, you got to pick your spots.
Here's Adam Kennedy, the second baseman. He's got a 6-game hitting streak going. Didn't play last night, with Guzman getting the start at second.
You could just see Pelfrey with his motion, the nice easy motion he has, and he's just got that heavy ball he throws up there.
What exactly is a heavy ball?
That's a very good question, and we're gonna hold that thought when Ralph comes in later. But it's hard to describe. But you can hit a guy on the screws of the bat, and then it feels like it's a bowling ball, and you can't describe it.
So it's not just the sink on a good sinking fastball.
No, it could be a straight fastball. Some guys throw a heavy ball. It's a ball that always feels like it overpowers your bat.
And like in there for a call strike 3. Back-to-back strikeouts for Pelfrey to start the afternoon.
He's coming out throwing number 1 and inside. And that's up and in again. The same exact pitch you've got Morgan. Cross seam. Beautiful, right to the glove.
The numbers will tell you that Pelfrey's throwing a lower percentage of fastballs this year as he's used his splitter more, particularly against the left-hand hitters. But today he's come out throwing heat. Here's Zimmerman, 2 for 7 in this series.
He's become one of the best players in baseball, I think.
And another fastball from Pelfrey. First pitch strike.
We talked last night ad nauseum about aggressive hitting at the plate. This guy doesn't waste any time, boy. He gets a pitch to hit. He has an idea what he's doing, and he is on the offense. He is not caught in between. He has a plan.
Up and in, spinning Zimmerman, and it's 1-1. Well, Pelfrey coming out throwing strikes, but moving Zimmerman back a little bit here.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Mike threw just 85 pitches in 7 1/3 in his last start Friday night against the Giants. That was a very fun pitching performance to watch, as he took on Jonathan Sanchez and the Giants. There's a strike, and it's 1-2 to Zimmerman. Pelfrey got a no decision in that game that the Mets won with the walk-off home run by Rod Barajas. Pelfrey was in line for the win before the Giants rallied against the Met bullpen.
We have not seen a breaking ball yet. It's been all fastball. There's a change. There's a little something off.
Pelfrey beat the Nats in his first start of the year here at Citi Field. The only game the Mets won in that series, first week of the season. Went 6 solid innings in that game. And did Zimmerman go? He did. And Pelfrey has struck out the side of the opening inning. Pelfrey, who's never had more than 8 strikeouts in a game, off to a K afternoon. With the day game after the night game, Alex Cora plays second base rather than Luis Castillo. Rod Barajas playing day game after a night game. Mets had 16 hits last night, a season high, and they put together their biggest inning of the year, a 6-run eighth, and trying to use that momentum to spill into this afternoon against Craig Stammen. And the first pitch, fastball for a strike to Pagan.
Well, Stammen is a sinker, slider, changeup pitcher. You can see he's up and down so far. ERA not impressive.
Comes off his best start of the year his last time out against Florida. He went 6 2/3 in that game, allowed just 4 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, 8 strikeouts.
Plus, you see he's got 4 walks in those innings pitched, which is outstanding. Everybody loves those kind of guys out in the mound on getaway day.
Pagan 7 hits in his last 4 games, and he takes it wide, 2-1. Angel has his average up to 274. On base percentage not as high as he'd like at 333 coming out of the leadoff spot. Alex Cora and Jose Reyes to follow here in the opening inning. And Pagan lines a base hit into right and gets the Mets started in the bottom of the first.
Well, Pagan had 2 hits last night, 2 for 5. And he's starting to heat up. And the Coors Light defense, I'm going to focus on the outfield here. That Willie Harris, Niger Morgan, and Roger Bernardina. That is as quick an outfield as you're going to find in the major leagues today. And there's Willie Harris.
Does he make good catches every now and again?
Yes, he does. He's Met killer. And there's Roger Bernardina. That is as good an outfield and a big ballpark as Citi Field. You kind of tend to want to have speedsters out there, and they play shallow.
Here's Alex Cora, who was right in the middle of the Mets' big rally last night, with a runner at second, and the Mets having gotten within 1 run. Cora laid down a bunt single with Zimmerman playing back.
You can see right there, Zim's got to respect that drag. But it was a beautiful drag bunt, by the way.
Really couldn't have rolled it out there any better. And Pagan followed with a hit that tied the game, and Chris Carter with the go-ahead double. And the Mets rallied themselves to a win. Reyes on deck. Slow track today with all the rain. Pagan with 4 steals on the year. Stammen has not given up a stolen base this season.
Well, he's going to get tested today, but this Met ball club is a team that utilizes their speed. And with Cora in there, it's not, you kind of lose a little bit. Castillo runs better than Alex.
But the Mets have 33 stolen bases in 33 games. That's second in the National League.
It's something they should. That's an offense that is a plus for them. They should always force the issue.
Cora making his 13th start of the season, hitting even 200 on the year. Well, 2 for 2 in this series. And a pitch out. Pagan wasn't going anywhere. 1-1. Remember, you don't have Pudge Rodriguez behind the plate today. It's Will Nieves doing the catching. And that changes things a little bit. Nieves is a good defensive catcher, but certainly not the ilk of Pudge Rodriguez.
Another pretty good hitter right there. And Pudge, like the way his approach to the plate. Lifetime 300 hitter.
Stammen taking a lot of time. Pagan runs. Cora hits one back toward the middle. Guzman right at the bag. Safe at second. Out at first. Guzman was at the bag, but by the time he reached out with his foot, the second base umpire Laz Diaz said Pagan was in safely.
Well, this is all about Pagan's speed. And we've said one thing about Pagan. He is a hustler. Let's see. So right call right there, and just good hustle by Angel.
So it goes as a 6-4-3 putout on Cora with Pagan advancing. Jim Riggleman out to argue the call with Laz Diaz. Let's look again.
Why is it 6-4-3?
Oh, excuse me, 6-3. My apology.
Sorry, Gary.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I thought maybe I'm
glad you corrected.
Asleep or something.
It's still a little early by our standards. So one away, a runner in scoring position for Reyes, 1 for 8 in this series, hitting at .230 on the year.
Jose just has not looked good at the plate from either side. A lot of that. A lot of when Jose goes bad, he gets under the ball a lot, and I just don't know if he feels comfortable in the third spot. That's having an effect on him. He says it does not, but he's been struggling.
Yeah, it just seems as though he's not comfortable in these RBI situations, and the numbers prove that out. He's hitting just .189 with runners in scoring position this year. It's tied up on the breaking ball, and he stopped the swing in time. 1-1. Jason Bay had a big night last night, waiting on deck. To the right side where Dunn is there to field it. Stammen gets over to cover for the second out as Pagan moves over to third. So 2 away. And now Jason Bay will try and get the run in. Jason had 3 hits last night and also drew a bases loaded walk. Has his average up to .264. Mets last night were 6 for 20 with runners in scoring position. It didn't begin well, but it certainly finished on a plus note.
Well, the big play in that inning was Ian Desmond's botch of the ground ball for the first out of the inning with the 4-run lead. And he threw it away. It's poor footwork on his part.
I was a little distressed, and I'm sure that Jim Riggleman probably was as well, to read Desmond's quote after the game saying the ball took a bad hop on him.
It didn't. That was enough hop.
No.
He ran in and he didn't come in and get his body in front. He had the wrong angle towards the ball that led him maybe open to a bad hop.
Good slider by Stammen, and it's 0-2 to Bay.
When you got a 4-run lead late, the 2 runs on base mean nothing. They're not going to beat you. You got any doubt that you can get the lead runner, you go and get the safety out first.
And today, the Nats have the veteran Guzman playing shortstop and Desmond in the dugout. 0-2 to Jason Bay. That's low and inside. A ball and 2 strikes.
Jason with that open stance. We see a lot of hitters today. Deep in the box and off the plate. We're going to go back inside. Nice try. See the emphasis on Nieve, the catcher, with his glove, saying, I'm coming, doubling up inside. Get it there. Don't miss out over the plate. And he didn't. Now they're probably going to go away. Slider. Simple.
On 2-2, Bay swings and misses at that slider, and Stammen has his first strikeout and strands Pagan at third. After 1. Dunn hit the 3-run homer in the first inning last night that forced the Mets to play from behind all night. His 7th of the year, 17 driven in, and he drives the first one into right center. That falls for a hit. Frank Core can't cut it off. Extra bases for Dunn. Adam Dunn pulls into second base with his 9th double of the year. And the Nats have their first base runner of the day.
And there goes another Met no-hitter.
You know, it's almost 8,000 games now. We're getting used to it.
This man right here has been a Met killer. He's always in the middle of things or driving in runs and hitting with power. He's never been a great power hitter, but he has always been impressive in his performances against the Mets.
And he's red hot right now. 6-game hitting streak, 9 for 18 over those 6 games. Looking to at least get Dunn over to third. And the curveball from Pelfrey, first one he's thrown, in for a strike.
David Wright in tight at third base.
You see the numbers for Guzman against the Mets.
The 5 home runs.
Pelfrey for his career has struggled against left-hand hitters, but that has turned significantly this year. Willie Harris on deck, another left-hand hitter.
He's developed that off-speed pitch with that splitter, and that's made a big difference for him against the lefties.
Sharply hit up the middle, and a base hit for Guzman. Dunn around third as that ball slows down in the wet outfield. He'll be held up by Pat Listach. And runners are at the corners with nobody out.
Well, Listach playing a little safety first. I thought Dunn had a chance to score here. But, you know, you don't want to run yourself out of an inning right here. Cora too much to pull. Too much up the middle. The ball kind of slowed down that wet outfield. Dunn has a very strong arm.
So a second inning crisis for Mike Pelfrey to have to deal with. And now Willie Harris, who has excelled against the Mets defensively, but not so much offensively. And he's really struggled against everybody this year, hitting just 189. Lifetime against the Mets, Willie Harris hitting just 147. But he's made up for that with multiple game-saving catches. Up and away with a fastball for ball 1. Dunn at third and Guzman at first with nobody out. No score in the second.
Pel's going to have a handful of left-hand hitters to deal with today in this lineup.
Well, he's given up 2 hits to lefties in this inning, but coming into the day, lefties were hitting just 197 this year against Pelfrey. Contrast that with the lifetime number, lefties hitting 292 against him. Last year, 284. So it has turned completely around with the use of that splitter. And Warrington watching through the mist. And it's upstairs to Harris, 2-1.
Yes, it is cold here. You can see the breath coming out of the mouth of Harris there. It is San Francisco damp day, and you see the defense right there, right in at the corner.
It'll be damp where we're going tomorrow, but 50 degrees warmer.
Yes.
Here's the 2-1. Up and away, and Pelfrey's struggling. Behind on Harris, 3-1.
You don't want, we talked about it last night, you don't want, see the runners in scoring position against Pelfrey, Paltry. You don't want to take a pitch here. You got a man on base. It's 3-1. It's your count. Get something to hit, rip it. What is this fan doing trying to wait? I'm broadcasting here. Got a fan waving at me, distracting me. I lost my thought. I'm broadcasting here.
You need tunnel vision.
It's this gal right here. She's trying to wave to me.
She's a big fan of yours. I can understand that.
In between innings, I lose my focus real easy.
I think we need to do something about that. 3-1 to Harris, and he walked him, and the bases are loaded with nobody out. So Pelfrey gives up a double to Dunn, a single to Guzman, a walk to Harris. And now Dan Worthen will pay a visit before he goes after Roger Bernardina.
I think Dan's close to leading the league in trips to the mound.
Well, it's probably true. I know that Jerry Manuel leads National League managers in trips to the mound because the Mets lead the league in pitching changes. So Dan saying his piece. Tremendously experienced pitching coach, as his team number 4 in the National League right now in staff ERA. So Pelfrey with a mess to deal with here with the 7, 8, and 9 hitters coming up. Roger Bernardina getting the start in right field today. That's been a revolving door this season for the Nats as they try and find some production from a right fielder. The thing about Bernardina here, he is an absolute burner and he would be very tough to double up.
Always love first ball fastball here. Pitcher in trouble.
Well, that's what Pudge Rodriguez did last night with the bases loaded.
And the key is he threw him a splitter right there and not swing at it. Now it's 1-0, and now you're really in a fastball count.
And Bernardina takes a strike. 1-1.
Another splitter. But that was a get me over splitter. That was right down the pipe and up.
Pelfrey thinking it out with Barajas. And Bernardina takes another one for a strike. 1-2.
That's a strike. Wasn't meant to be inside, but it was. It's meant to be in the outside corner. 3 off-speed pitches in a row.
Well, Mike, who struck out 3 in the first inning, ahead of the count on Bernardina in a spot where he needs a strikeout. And he's got it. How about that? First 4 outs for Pelfrey via the strikeout. Now 1 out with the bases loaded with Will Nieves coming up.
Well, 2 of those 3 strikeouts to left-hand hitters. I'm sorry, 3 of the 4. Have been up and in fastball right there above the belt inside.
Keep in mind, Mike Pelfrey's season high in strikeouts this year is 6. His career high in strikeouts is 8. It's not a big part of his game, but a welcome one here. Now he's a double play away from getting out of the inning against a guy Nieves who is a double play candidate. The backup catcher Nieves, 3rd year with the Nats, his 10th start. He's sitting at 205.
Misty rain.
And Nieves fouls one away.
Look for the Golden Gate Bridge. It's that kind of day. San Francisco day.
Make me think of cable cars. Rice-A-Roni.
That's a nice the San Francisco tree.
Yeah. Well, you dropped a version of Rice-A-Roni the other night. I've been thinking about it ever since. Here's the 0-1. Up and away, and it's 1-1 to Nieves with the pitcher Stammen on deck. Dunn is at 3rd, Guzman at 2nd, and Harris at 1st with 1 out. The Nats came in a hot ball club and took the opening game of this series. But the Mets came from behind and won a tight one last night. The Mets have now played 8 straight games decided by 2 runs or less and split those 8 games. Here's the 1-1 and the curveball outside of Nieves, and it's 2-1. So it's a struggle for Pelfrey here in the second.
Never liked the DH, but that's a big difference right here. And there's Chris Carter. He's a caged animal. He's a pacer.
It's a bundle of energy. 2-1. Swing and a miss and a fastball away. Nieves kicking himself, and now it's 2-2.
Well, I don't know why he's kicking himself. This is he got beat on this pitch, big time. Mike's throwing hard.
92 miles an hour on that last fastball.
Hard and heavy.
He's already struck out 4 for his first 4 outs. Fouled away, and Nieves hangs in against the 93-mile-an-hour fastball. Well, Nieves now 32 years old. Veteran backup catcher. Bud Rodriguez getting the day off. It's been a shame what has happened to Jesus Flores, the former Met farmhand, who looked like he was going to be a star with the Nats, but really is missing his second straight year with shoulder problems. That's why they went out and got Pudge. Again, the 2-2. Lifted in the air, shallow to right along the line. Frank Corey into foul ground. Can't get there, and then almost flips over the wall. And low fence. That is so dangerous for first baseman, second baseman, and right fielders who get in that territory.
Good low bridge.
Frenchie just shied at the last moment. Otherwise, he might have done a full flip. Get hurt there. Now, if Ike had gone over there,
yes,
he would have known how to handle that flip. Although he's better at the dugout railing, you'd have to say, a little bit higher.
It's just incredible that he's had three chances in his short career.
So Nieves about to see his 7th pitch in this at bat, with the bases full of Nats in the second inning. And another foul ball. So Nieves making Pelfrey work. 32 pitches, 20 of them in this inning. That's not a balk, by the way.
Why do they change the rules?
Well, if you're on the rubber and you drop the ball, it's a balk.
Oh, I see. I missed that. You're on the yes. There's no change in the rule. I thought you were talking about going to the mouth. How they changed the rules this year.
Again, the 2-2. Foul tip and held by Barajas. Strike 3. 5 outs, all by strikeout for Pelfrey, and now there are 2 down in the inning.
Well, he threw so many fastballs. I knew sooner or later he had to throw a wrinkle in there, and he did. How about that?
He was just beside himself. Thought for sure he had kept himself alive by foul tipping that ball, but right into Barajas' big mitt. So now Pelfrey only has to get through the pitcher to get out of what was a bases loaded, nobody out jam. Stammen not a bad hitter, though. He's 3 for 12 this year. Lifetime 209. Pretty good for a pitcher. Has 1 run batted in this year. Inside, and now Pelfrey behind 2-0.
Well, we saw on the first night starting pitcher Luis Adelano swinging at a 2-0 fastball out of the strike zone. I got to believe it was Dan Wharton telling him to relax and making him take a deep breath.
Give him the take sign here.
Oh, absolutely.
And he swings and fouls it back.
How about that?
No take for the Nats pitchers. Meanwhile, go back to the second batter of this inning. Remember, Guzman singled up the middle, and Pat Listach very conservatively stopped Dunn at third base, figuring with nobody out they'd have plenty of chance to get him in. Well, he's still there with 2 out. Sometimes you have to consider who's coming up. You got 7, 8, and 9 in that spot. Stammen fouls one down the right side. It's 2-2.
sometimes early in the game, take a chance. That was a play where it was going to be a bang-bang play, and I can understand Listash playing conservative, nobody out. You know,
and you have to play the conditions, though, too, right?
Yeah, but you can't sit there and, condemn and hang him up to the highest oak tree, over that call. But early in the game, I always like take a chance, make the outfielder make the perfect throw.
Now the 2-2. Hit hard, base hit for Stammen. That gets done home. Guzman right behind him. Base thrown to the plate, not in time. The pitcher, Craig Stammen, picks up the 2-out hit that plates a pair and gives the Nats a 2-0 lead.
Wow.
Fourth hit of the year for Stammen, his second and third RBI.
Fastball in, wanted it away. He missed on the inner part of the plate. He just turned on that ball. Up. So it stayed flat. That's a nice swing right there. You know who had a great swing at hitting pitcher? Bob Gibson had a great swing.
He hit a lot of home runs in his career.
Yes, he did. And they're going to score easily there. Guzman can still run at his age.
So Pelfrey was almost out of the inning. After back-to-back strikeouts, 2 strikes on the pitcher, but Stammen comes through. Now the curveball misses to Morgan for ball 1.
Well, your IOTV pitch differential, and it not only missed on the other half of the plate, too much plate on the inside corner, but it missed up. It hurt him more being up.
Morgan struck out his first time up, and he swings at the fastball, 1-1.
Morgan's been swinging and missing a lot in this series. That would get discouraging.
Harris and Stammen, the base runners, with 2 out. Ronnie would love the fact that Stammen on a 48-degree afternoon is out there with no jacket.
Yes, he would.
By the way, Bob Gibson, 24 home runs in his career.
Yeah, he was just a great athlete. Could field his position, could run. Tough as nails.
Very different kind of inning for Pelfrey after striking out the side of the first. 1-2 to Morgan. Just missed inside. It's 2-2. So it's a 30-pitch inning for Pelfrey. And behind in the game 2-0.
He needs to stop the bleeding right here.
In the air to center field, and Pagan is right there waiting. That retires the side, but not before the pitcher Craig Stammen comes through with a 2-out, 2-run hit, and the Mets will fight from behind again today. It's Nats finale, plus all the latest on the Yankees. Doubleheader in Detroit as they take on the Hot 9 sports stories of the day in the next Wheelhouse, presented by Pepsi, weekdays at 5:30, only on SNY. It's like it's not blowing mist quite as much in the city as it is here in Queens. Not much traffic on 6th Avenue. What's going on a Wednesday afternoon? Must be everybody glued to their TV sets watching the game.
Maybe we're becoming more like Greece. No one wants to work.
What's a billion or trillion between friends? David Wright leads off in the home second with the Mets down 2-0. Craig Stammen a little late getting out to the mound after his offensive heroics in the top of the inning. David has begun to get it going the last couple of days. 5 for 8 in this series, including a couple of opposite field doubles last night. Up to 293 for the year.
Let's see how they pitch him. He got his hits on balls away yesterday. Hit the ball hard to right field. They were all down and outside part of the plate. See if they come inside today on him.
First time up yesterday, David took one up the middle and banged one off the ankle of the pitcher, Scott Olson, for an infield hit. Also drew another walk yesterday. Has 25 walks for the year. Leads the league. Slider away from Stammen, 1-1. It'll be Wright, then Ike Davis, and Jeff Francoeur for the Mets in the bottom of the second. Well, folks who came out to the game today came dressed for the weather, but heartiest congratulations to them today. It is not an easy day to sit in the stands. 3-1 now to Wright.
You got a lot of kids in the stands there. Eh?
Well, it's great. The noise in the place, the energy is terrific for this kind of a day.
Got a classroom and recess before the teacher comes in.
Ball 4, and Wright again draws a walk, his 26th of the year. And the Mets have a leadoff base runner for the second straight inning. Last night, the Mets had the leadoff man on in 6 out of 8 innings. And again, the first 2 innings today. And you can talk all you want about how much the Mets struggled with runners in scoring position before late yesterday, and that's true. But if you keep getting the leadoff man on, eventually good things are going to happen.
Well, the pitchers are always playing with fire when they allow a leadoff walk in particular. Ike Davis last night, he just missed hitting his first grand slam of his career.
His reaction was priceless as he came around first base. It went over the foul pole in right field. That was judged foul and then reviewed and confirmed foul. If it had been called a grand slam, it would have turned a 6-run inning into a 10-run inning. Ike last night came up with runners in scoring position all 5 of his at-bats and wound up going 0 for 5. He did drive in a run on that error by Desmond, but still that's not a hit. And the folks at Elias went back and found the last Met who went 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position in a single game, Butch Husky in 1997, 13 years ago.
I remember that game.
You do?
I do. I was working, I believe, that day. He was having a tough year, wasn't he, that year? I believe it was a tough year for him.
That was at Tiger Stadium. That's a series of first year of interleague play that I remember extremely well because the Mets got swept and gave up 14 home runs in a 3-game series at Tiger Stadium. It was that near grand slam. And it was just tough to tell. Although that shot appears to show that it's foul, but it's hard to tell because it was over the pole. There was a time in baseball a long time ago that the foul line was considered to be infinite. In other words, as it's lined into right field, a base hit for Davis. And Wright goes to second and pulls in there. In other words, it mattered where the ball landed, regardless of where it was when it passed the fence. And so if a ball hooked when it went 100 feet behind the fence and landed in what would be foul territory, it was foul ball. But then they instituted foul poles, and that all changed.
Nice hitting on that curveball by Davis.
Jeff Francoeur steps in with 2 men on. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Talked to Jeff about his swing, guys, and he said, for me, it's plain and simple. I've got to hit the fastball. I'm not getting out in front of it. I'm not recognizing it. I'm worrying about the other pitches way too much. I've got to look fastball and hit fastball. Plain and simple right now for Jeff Francoeur.
Little slow ground ball for Guzman to come in and field. Makes the running toss low, but Dunn scoops it out. The runners advance to second and third.
And, you know, it's interesting, guys, because also continuing with Jeff, and hopefully last night that big inning will help them. But I asked, you know, when this team is pressing as a whole, do you guys go up there and you try and take a big swing? And he said, well, the other night against Brian Bruni late in the game, I struck out. I was absolutely trying for a home run, and I've never done that before. He's like, so, yeah, after this, got to go out and make solid contact. So hopefully big inning can alleviate some of that pressure on this team.
So my thought on that, Garrett, is why would he go for a home run when he's in a bad mired in a bad slump?
That's a good question.
You never do that when you're struggling. You try to get it back, and when you start feeling good at the plate, that's when you can start wailing on a pitch that you're sitting on and get.
Well, Rod Barajas has been feeling good about the way he's pulling the ball, both foul and fair. Hit a couple of foul home runs last night, and then barely missed a home run, doubling off the top of the wall in that big 8th inning. And now they're just trying to keep everything away from him. 1-0 to Barajas.
By the way, this is the best I've seen Stanton throw. I've seen him throw on 2 or 3 times. This is the best command I've seen him in a start. A decent breaking ball, not overpowering.
Infield back with 2 in scoring position. Another slider, and it's 2-0.
Hey, Keith, is there a difference if you're struggling and trying to produce at home and isn't on the road? I mean, this team is just flooded with runners on base, and, you know, the home fans getting restless. Does that, you think, have anything to do with what Francoeur told me?
Well, you hope not. They're going to walk Barajas.
This is bizarre. Wow. They have a 2-run lead, and you're walking Barajas with 1 out to get to the pitcher? I can understand it with 2 out. This is very unconventional. Do you understand that at all, Keith?
I do not. And Pelfrey's not a bad hitter.
I mean, it might work out for Riggleman. I mean, Pelfrey might hit into a double play, but that is flat out bizarre with a 2-run lead and 1 out in the inning.
Just briefly getting back to Kev's question, I always preferred playing on the road. I always felt, you know, late in the game, in front of the home folks, a little more, I don't want to say pressure, a little more anxiety would be a better word. But late in the game in a big situation than on the road.
Pelfrey lines one, past Guzman, base hit. Wright comes in, Davis stops at third, Barajas gets to second before the throw from Harris. Mike Pelfrey trying to match Craig Stammen. He's got an RBI single, and it's now 2-1 Nats. And the Mets will get Pagan up with the bases loaded and 1 out.
Well, nice hitting by Pelf. Oh, the hanging slider. Big hanger.
Third hit, second RBI for Pelfrey.
Nicely done, Mike. That's the one thing about intentional walks, whether they're conventional or unconventional, Gary. I don't care for them because you're putting another runner on base and the more potential for a big inning.
Especially early in the game. Because what you're doing, especially when you're walking the 8th guy to get to the pitcher, is you're giving more at-bats to the guys at the top of the batting order. I mean, barring a double play there, what the walk to Barajas did was guaranteeing it back for Pagan, who had a base hit his first time up. And the curveball in for a strike.
Well, the IOTV pitch differential just about the same. Hanging slider. Always want it down and away. Don't want to put it there.
Davis, Barajas, and Pelfrey aboard. Not much speed out there with 1 out.
Yeah, playing in the corners. You saw Dunn in early.
I think that's probably because of Pagan's bunting ability.
Are you going to squeeze bunt early in the game?
No.
With the bases loaded? Geez, you're leaving a big hole there between first and second.
Second baseman and shortstop have to shorten up too against Pagan's speed as they try and think double play. And Angel tried to hold the swing, and the
who is that?
well concealed John Hirschbeck calls it a ball. Who is that masked man?
We're getting soft, aren't we?
It's pretty cold out there. You and I are dry and warm. Two and one to Pagan with the bases loaded. And Angel takes it off the plate, a sinker, and it's 3-1.
Look at this. That is not a two-step. Cora is out of the batter's box. He should be shown where the batting circle is. Not allowed to get that close behind home plate.
Just trying to get the timing of the pitcher, Stammen.
Boy, you got to get him out of there. I'm sorry.
We saw that the other day with Dunn.
Yep,
doing the same thing. 3-1 to Pagan with the bases loaded. And he floats one out of left field. Harris is there. Davis tagging. Here comes Davis. Here comes Harris's throw. And Davis slides in safely with the tying run. Sacrifice fly for Angel Pagan, and the Mets have gotten even. 2-2.
Well, he gets all of his momentum coming forward, but not a strong arm from Harris here. And the throw offline.
Jim Riggleman is contending that Davis never touched home plate. So they are going to appeal at third. I don't think that's what they wanted to do. They just threw the ball to third base, but I don't think that was their contention. You can run into the dugout and tag Davis if you want, if they say he didn't touch home plate.
They're saying he's telling them that, nope, they're going to step off. No. Forget it.
Well, apparently if they were planning to appeal, I think they messed up the first appeal. Let's see if he touched it.
He's all over it.
Right, looks like he did.
Please.
Unless his hand went right over the top of it. So, no harm, no foul. Mets have tied the game. Here's Cora with 2 out and 2 on. Alex grounded to short his first time up. And the Mets are being pretty patient with Stammen here in the second inning. So after a clean first for both pitchers, Stammen's hit produced 2 in the top of the inning. Pelfrey drives a run in the bottom, and the Mets add a run to tie up the game. I told you it was a pitcher's kind of day. It's not the way we thought. Two pitches in the inning for Stammen. And Cora fouls it off. 1-2. Jose Reyes waiting on deck. Mets and Nats begin the day tied for second place in the National League East. 2.5 games behind the Phillies, who have a day-night doubleheader in Colorado today, unless they get snowed out, which is a distinct possibility. Down to 1-2. In the dirt, stopped by Davis. 2-2. That series for the Phillies in Colorado was supposed to feature Roy Halladay's first start back in his hometown. So, you know, with Halladay being from Colorado, I would think he'd do okay in the snow if they let him.
I think he can pitch anywhere.
Yeah, I think so. Now the 2-2. And again in the dirt. Full count to Cora, so that'll put the runners in motion. And Davis is going to head out for a conversation with Stammen after 2 straight that bounced. More balls than strikes for Stammen. And whereas the Mets were very aggressive offensively last night, they've done a nice job early in this game waiting Stammen out.
Got a little more time to think off of Stammen. He's not an overpowering pitcher.
Barajas and Pelfrey will get set to take off. Stammen looking Barajas back. And Les Diaz is hiding too. See that?
Yes.
Big face mask.
Going to rob a bank or what?
Just trying to stay dry. 3-2. Popped it up. Nigel Morgan looking through the mist. And that retires the side. But the Mets get 2 runs in the bottom of the second inning to match the Nationals. Stabbing. By Select Sector Spiders. Here's your Mets upcoming schedule. Remember, all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. And if you're not near a TV, you can listen to all Met games on Sports Radio 66 WFAN with Howie Rose and Wayne Hagan. Mets begin a road trip in Florida tomorrow, and I think we could all use a little sunshine and warm weather. Ralph Connor, you just came from Florida.
Yeah, and I forgot to take my glasses off.
Well, at least when I look at you with those sunglasses, I can think about the warmer climes to come.
Ralph, you look like Elwood Blues.
Well, I wanted you guys to think about
at least
Florida.
You didn't say
That's the whole thing. It's going to be warm there. It's going to be in the 80s. So you got a good day ahead of you.
Very different day today. Temperature in the 40s. A blowing mist. Adam Kennedy leads off the 3rd inning, and a curveball in for a strike. Think about these pitchers hitting, Ralph.
Well, they got 2 pitchers. They got singles. They're driving runs, and that was a big thing in this ball game so far. Like you said, you figured it was going to be a pitcher's day, but not a pitcher's hitting day. This is really tough on hitters when you play in this kind of weather. One of the things you do is this ball goes out of play, is try and keep your bat warm. And you usually have a bunch of briquettes that are on fire that you could hold over the briquettes and keep the bat warm. You know, one of the things about a heavy fastball, you were talking about that, Keith, I think that spin has something to do with the way it comes off the bat. When you have the sinker ball going, which is a 2-seam fastball is what one thing is called, you get a heavier pitch that you're hitting. And we get somebody that throws a 4-finger fastball, or 4 fingers. It's a rotating ball that has lift to it, and the ball's lighter on the bat.
I want to go back to the warm bat. What difference does it make whether your bat is warm or cold?
Well, it's really your hands on the bat, so you don't get sting out of the bat that you normally would when it's cold like this.
When you get jammed or you get a cue stick off the end of the bat in weather like this, your hands go numb for quite some time. And
you try to eliminate that.
Now I know neither of you guys wore batting gloves. Do you think that makes a difference?
Well, batting gloves will help, but also I always felt in weather like this it made you concentrate more on making your one swing count. You want to get one swing, get out of the box, get out as fast as you could.
In other words, your first ball hitter. Huh?
Yes, sir.
2-2 to Kennedy, and he grounds one out to Cora, who shuffles over. One out. So when you get one of those that buzzes your hands, when you foul it off, how does that affect the rest of your at bat?
Well, it does have an impact. There's no doubt about it. It's a pitcher's day. That's watch it all. So impossible to hit.
Nothing much you can do, Garrett.
Yeah, you got to live with it. That's the hard part.
You got to get back in the box and suck it up, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Not a day for blueberry pancakes.
You can't tell the manager I'm hurting. My hands are hurting. Take me out.
Here's Ryan Zimmerman, and he takes ball one.
Well, today's play, you might hear that from somebody. Hey, I don't want to play. It's too cold.
Have you ever heard somebody say that?
I've heard players gripe about cold.
Cold foul. But anybody ask out of a lineup because it's cold?
No, I don't think so, no. But it's really hard on the hitters.
Adam Dunn on deck.
Adam Dunn, pretty good sized fellow. Might have played football in his early days, huh?
Quarterback down in Texas.
He was good. Yes, he was.
Zimmerman fouls one off Barajas and back.
What do you think of this guy, Ralph Zimmerman?
I think he's one of the best third basemen that is playing third base today, and they got a few that are really good. The guy from Florida is not bad at all. It's a funny thing about baseball. The power hitters now are really first basemen. And in the old days, first basemen were the power guys, but nowadays the outfielders are not the power guys. And they were the ones who you always looked to for the long ball. The Monjos, the one thing about baseball is it changes around. Nowadays, shortstops are power hitters.
First basemen.
Never used to.
First basemen have always been power hitters, and I think that's still the case.
It's always been the corner infielders and the outfielders.
Line to left. Bay moves over in front of it. And Zimmerman retired for the second out.
You know, Keith was talking about Bay in the outfield, and Bay has really done a good job with that glove. He's certainly no liability at all.
He has an accurate arm, not a great arm. Ralph, he plays the ball off the wall well, and he hits the cutoff man, throws to the right base. He knows how to play the game.
And I think the last piece is probably the most important, just watching how he runs everything out. And he's a baseball player, and you know that tends to be underrated in this era of overwhelming statistical analysis.
All right, here a shift on against the hitter. And this was the shift has been employed in the history of baseball for a long time. It's not new. But people talk about Lou Boudreau, and when he put the shift on against Ted Williams. And Williams would not really go against the shift. The real reason for the shift is you would love to see him bunch or try and get a single rather than have him hit a home run. And it's psychological more than anything else. But if you're a hitter, and I had to hit against the shift all my time as a player in baseball, and the one thing about that is that you lose a lot of base hits. So your average goes down, but it doesn't stop the home run. If a fellow doesn't go for the obvious base hit single, it doesn't stop the home run at all.
When they shifted against you, Ralph, they put three infielders on the left side?
Put all the infielders on the second base side, yeah. So it's really a shift to keep the batter from being a home run hitter. That's the main thing with a shift.
Dunn got tied up, but he stopped the swing.
Well, I see you got your Hall of Fame pin on. Any occasion for that?
Not really. It was on my jacket when I took it out of the closet.
That works. 3-2 to Dunn, who doubled to right center his first time up. And Pelfrey gets him to pop one up, but that'll sail out of play.
There it is.
That was from the Hall of Fame ceremonies last year, and it's coming up again this year in July.
Pagan looking through the mist, puts it away. And a 1-2-3 inning for Mike Pelfrey. A nice bounce back after a tough second. Heart of the batting order coming up. More than a pin. There's the plaque when Ralph Kiner was inducted into the Hall of Fame.
What year was that, Ralph?
1975. That was more than 1 year ago.
With the then commissioner, Bowie Kuhn.
It's my second year in the big leagues. It was a bad year for me.
What's a bad year?
I got sent down.
That is a bad year.
Oh, I was hitting buck and change.
There's a guy right here who's batting third. Now, third is supposed to be where your best hitter bats. I don't think Jose Reyes is the best hitter in the ballpark.
Willie Harris puts it away for the first out.
He is struggling mightily, and there's no question about it. He just can't get started.
You know, the whole thing about hitting third, it really is a place for your best hitter. And you look for a fellow that gets on base, and Keith, of course, was a third place hitter, and he was legitimate at that spot. But Reyes is not a third place hitter in any regards.
Well, on this team right now, without Carlos Beltran, I guess the question is who would be the ideal third place hitter?
I think that's the answer right there. We don't have one.
Well, somebody's got to hit third.
Well, you can put a body up there. There's no question about that, but that doesn't seem to work.
Weekend at Bernie's.
Just prop him up. Bay takes a rip, and it's 1-2. I mean, you know, David Wright was hitting third earlier in the year, and David is a high on-base percentage guy.
Okay, he would be, and he also was a power hitter. He hasn't got that power back yet, but he averaged over 30 home runs, and that was all right. But you have to be able to hit home runs and extra base hits.
You can't strike out a lot hitting third.
That's right. Absolutely.
And that's really the rub with this lineup, because you got a lot of high strikeout guys now with Wright and Bay and Frank Cora.
You know, they used to say if you strike out a lot, you don't have to hit into double plays. That was Dick Sewer's philosophy, and he was right.
Bay strikes out for the second time today. So 2 out of the inning. Here's Wright, who got things started for the Mets in the second with a leadoff walk. Came around to score on Mike Pelfrey's base hit.
Speaking of not striking out, one of the fellows that did not strike out and a great hitter has a birthday today, Yogi Berra.
85 today.
And he would go through a season, and he was a bad ball hitter. Now, this is really unusual. He would strike out 20 times a year and play all the games. Not all the games, but play almost the majority of the games.
Popped up toward that short fence, and Dunn goes back to make the grab. Nicely done by Adam Dunn. And the Mets are done in the bottom of the third. New York Sports on the next Loudmouths, presented by Geico, weekdays at 6 p.m. only on SNY. Fourth inning, Christian Guzman leads off and takes the sinker low. Guzman singled to center and scored a run in the second inning. 3 for 4 now in this series. And Jim Riggleman has been effusive in his praise of Guzman and the way he has accepted his diminished role with this team.
It's a little easier to take when you make around $3 or $4 million a year, as opposed to 40
million.
Just looking at this too.
And what did you say diminished? I mean, he's still playing baseball. He's playing second base instead of short.
Well, but he's not playing every day the way he was.
Well, of course, that does hurt.
Tries to drag the bunt and misses. 2-2. It'll be Guzman, then Willie Harris, and Roger Bernardino, 3 left-hand hitters for Pelfrey in the top of the fourth. Mike got his first 5 outs today on strikeouts. Very unusual for him. Last night for Arizona, Dan Herron got his first 9 outs by a strikeout.
And the all-time record for consecutive strikeouts is 12, and it's held by Tom Seaver. That was against the San Diego Padres.
Now the 3-2 to Guzman. On the inside corner, strike 3 called. And that's 6 strikeouts for Pelfrey, matching his season high.
He's got that fastball inside corner working. And that's a strike. It's interesting. Barajas set up right down the middle. Look at the corner.
And that wasn't one of those two-seamers coming back either. That just stayed true. Now Willie Harris, who walked his first time up. The Nats loaded the bases with nobody out in the second inning. Pelfrey then struck out the 7 and 8 hitters. But the pitcher Stabin singled home 2 runs. And that's all the Nats have today. Harris pops one straight up. Right coming down to help out Barajas. And that's the second out. So Ray, talking about Mike Pelfrey and his strikeouts. Here are his strikeout rates in college when his college coach Gene Stevenson says he was throwing 98 miles an hour. In the minors and then in the majors. Is that fairly typical, do you think? Or is that a huge drop off for a guy to go from 9 to 8 to 5 in the big league?
I don't think it's unusual because you're not pitching against real good hitters. As you move up in class, you're going to see hitters that don't strike out, or at least are difficult to strike out.
The level of competition certainly increases.
Bernardino fouls it back and it's 0-2.
I mean, I got to believe in college there's a lot of big outs in some of those lineups.
The record for strikeouts in a game is 20.
On the big league level?
On the big league. Who kept Clemens?
Clemens and Kerry Wood.
Yeah. We had a guy in the minor leagues named, in the Pittsburgh Pirates. His name was Ron Netzer. And he struck out 27 batters in the ball game. Everybody in a minor league game.
Are you kidding?
That's right.
Bernardino rips one toward the right field corner. That ball is out of here.
Wow.
Roger Bernardino with his first home run of the year. A line drive into the seats in right, and it's 3-2 Washington. Bernardino, not a power hitter.
That was only a second RBI right there.
That is his first major league home run. He had 80 at-bats before this season. It's his 35th at-bat of this year. So first major league home run for Bernardino, and it gives the Nats the lead.
And that was a bullet. You had a rain dance?
Well, it is raining, and there was a dance.
Burt Lancaster.
Nieves goes the same way toward right, and that one's going to fall fair. Extra base hit for Nieves. So the 7 and 8 hitters who both struck out their first time up, both getting extra base hits against Pelfrey here in the 4th.
Well, here's the home run. Let's see. Oh, boy. Yep, I figured. Fastball in, and it bled out way over the middle of the plate and up. And there's no doubt about that. That was a bullet. High-powered rifle.
Well, Roger Bernardino from Curacao makes his mark with his first big league home run, and he gives the Nats a 3-2 lead. Now Craig Stamina drove in the first 2 runs, so a couple of bolts against Pelfrey after he retired the first 2 here in the 4th.
Yeah, they would love to turn those first 2 at bats around. He struck out with the runners in scoring position. Bases loaded last time.
How about Bernardino? He would have had a grand slam if he'd done that his first time.
He struck out also.
Only the second home run that Pelfrey has given up this season. The other was in Philadelphia against Shane Victorino. That one's over the mound, and Stavin's got another hit. Nieves around third, and he will score. Craig Stavin has driven in 3 runs to help his own cause, and it's 4-2 Washington.
Wow. Sinker right down but too much plate. Nice hitting.
So after 2 out and nobody on, a homer, double, and single from the 7, 8, and 9 hitters, and the Nats have gone back in front by 2. And here's Nyjer Morgan, who has struck out and fly to center 0 for 2. And Pelfrey misses low and away. Shocking.
Wichita State. Shockers.
Maybe that's the problem.
One thing about playing for Wichita State, where he did play in the college league, is that the wind blows about 150 miles an hour out to the outfield.
Is that right?
Oh, it really blows hard there.
No wonder he had to strike out all those guys.
That's right. He had to.
Down to first, and Davis handles it to retire Morgan and end the inning, but the Nats regain the lead. Roger Bernardina's first major league home run. A lightning bolt in the seats in right. "30 everyday All-Stars will be honored at the 2010 All-Star Game in Anaheim. To nominate your community All-Star to represent the Mets, go to peopleallstars.com. Here's today's Toyota Text Poll. Text 57508 to participate. Well, we were talking about this earlier. Who do you think should get a shot at batting third? A for Wright, B for Bay, C for Davis, and D for Reyes. Text 57508 or visit sny.tv to register your opinion.
We should put an E in there.
Who would he be?
None of the above.
None of those above. That's very true.
Mike Davis pulls one on the ground, batted down by Kennedy. Has enough time to throw him out. One pitch and one retired for Stammen in the fourth.
I'll tell you, in the future, you might see this fella here.
Yes.
Mike Davis as a third place hitter right here. He has power. He can run. He's not slow. And the one thing about all players, as you grow older and more experienced, you learn to pull the ball more, and you learn to take advantage of the short defenses. One of the things that's really a lost art in baseball to me is that batters in the batter's box don't move around in the box. And you can make a pitcher pitch you a certain way by the way you stand in the batter's box.
Agreed.
And you don't see that in baseball anymore.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know that. I don't have a reason for that. We don't see anybody choke up in the bat anymore. Although Barry Bonds did, and nobody else copied him. And he was one of the great hitters of all time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh. Off the plate to Frank Court, it's 3-0. Frank Court bounced to short his first time up, taking on 3-0.
One thing that you could say, Beltran should be a third place hitter in the batting order. Or could be. He's a switch hitter, which doesn't hurt there. And he also can run.
Francoeur lifts one to right center. And Morgan gets over, 2 out.
I mean, getting back to Davis, I think Davis could eventually be a cleanup hitter on this ball. He's got some pop.
He has some power. Yes, he has. And he hasn't played that much. He's a brand new player to the major leagues.
There's Rod Barajas, who was intentionally walked in the second inning. And that led to 2 Met runs.
One thing about Barajas is that they walked him intentionally, and he said, you guys were talking about that, which is unusual. With 1 man out, and put in an extra runner on base with the pitcher coming up. He's sort of proved that he can hit home runs. He leads the club in home runs.
The only thing I'd say about that, Ralph, is that, you know, he's a real free swinger, and you could probably get him to chase the ball out of the strike zone rather than intentionally walk.
Well, the one thing, if you have a batter who's really hurt you, and he won the first game of the series with a 2-run home run, is that you don't want to test him too often. Now he has power.
Pulls that one foul.
And that's a pitch he does hit.
Nice
hit that high fastball.
See that catch? Very nice. On the backhand. Look at that.
That looks like Keith right there.
Saved the guy in the row behind him who had no glove, who was about to get hit in the chops.
How do you mean that looks like me?
I don't mean it the way you think.
He's not even a lefty.
I like the way he handled the glove.
Barajas pops one up for center. And Nigel Morgan squeezes it to end the inning. That's 8 straight retired by Stammen, who now has himself a 4-2 lead through
developing this huge lore with that nickname, the Animal, and there's reasons why. Talking to Josh Tolley, his friend and teammate, and about what he is like on the bench, it's kind of hard to describe. In a way, it's like playing Simon Says. Simon Says, sit down, stand up, walk to your left, walk to your right. I watched Carter last night a lot, and he was all over the place in the dugout. Tolley's quote was, he's always caffeinated. That is a perfect way to describe it. I watched him a lot last night. He didn't stop. And Josh said even when he starts in a game, he comes to the bench, he doesn't sit. Josh said that in Buffalo, he doesn't sit. And I mean the entire day. He'll come in, he puts his stuff down on the chair as we start off against Adam Kennedy from Mike Belford with a strike. He puts his stuff on the chair, never sits. I mean the entire day from 1 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Josh Tolley told me he eats standing up. Who does that? He walks around with a chicken on a fork and eats it like that. But Tolley did say this, guys, maybe the best teammate I've ever had. He kept us all loose. He's always into the game. He kept us like a cheerleader. Let's go. Come on, guys. Fired up. He said, I think he's a great thing for this team, guys.
Might be the solution for an alternate source of domestic energy. you can harness that. Kennedy hits it out to left center field, and Pagan gets over. One away.
It reminds me of the nickname Animal for that movie with William Holden and Otto Preminger, Stalag 17. One of the POWs in the movie was this big Goliath of a man that wasn't very bright, and I'm drawing any comparisons to Chris Carter here, but he was called the Animal in the movie.
How about the pitcher for the Atlanta Braves? They called him the Animal.
Oh,
yeah.
What's his name?
Brad Leslie, right?
Rooker.
Rooker.
Oh, John.
Rocker.
John Rocker.
Yeah.
We'll get it. We'll get it.
But wasn't there Brad the Animal Leslie? Wasn't that with the Reds?
Yes.
He was really. He was odd. Let's put it that way. He was something else. And he would do gyrations. He was really out of control.
There he is.
Well, he's not sitting now.
He's a good kid. And when I worked with Daniel Murphy in spring training, he insisted on coming over. He's a first baseman, and he came over and got in the mix with me. He's a real good kid, great listener, wanted to learn. So good things happen to good people.
Sure, Manuel was telling the story today about the day that he had to let Carter know that he was being sent down this spring, and he had made quite an impression with his play on the field and with his energy both on the bench and in the clubhouse. And Jerry was talking about how after he let Chris know that he was being sent down, that literally 15 different players went up to him and had conversations with him about, going down to AAA and not letting down and performing well down there, and the fact that he'd get a call back up. And it was, the interesting part about that was that, here was a guy who was new to the organization this year, and it had developed such close relationships with his teammates that they all were pulling for him. And really, as a group, we're thrilled to see him back when he rejoined the club. And for him to come through the way he did last night just adds to that.
Well, it just tells you that he was well liked, and that puts it all in a nutshell.
This mist is getting a little thicker as we move through the fifth inning. Not yet an official game as Zimmerman bounces one to short. Reyes bobbles, recovers, not in time. Well, the ball coming off the wet grass and dirt, and Reyes could not secure it, and that'll be an error on Jose Reyes.
That's all it took. Zimmerman hustling down the line.
I think one of the hardest things to do for a manager or a GM, general manager, is to tell the player he's gone down to the minor leagues.
Yeah, that would be no fun. I don't think I would relish that.
When I was the GM of the San Diego Padres in the close league, I had to tell Bob Lemon he was all through pitching. He came down and he had a bad arm, came down to work out with me and try and pitch, and he couldn't do it. And I had to tell him, Bob, you're all through. He never let me up from that day on. He said, you're the one that released me. I'll never forget that as long as I live. And he was one of the great pitchers of all time. Started his career as a third baseman. Then he also played center field and then ended up as a pitcher, and he had a great sinker and a great curveball.
And of course, Bob Lemon also had some success as manager.
And manager, that's right. He managed at Sacramento in the Coast League and then later on with the Yankees.
Dunn grounds one through the shift and into right field. Zimmerman goes to second. Well, three guys on the right side of the infield weren't enough. And Dunn has his second hit of the night, of the day. Well, it looks like night.
Well, he's a low ball hitter, classic left-hand power hitter, and boy, he put it right through him.
So 2 men aboard. Pelfrey up to 90 pitches working in the fifth inning, trailing in the game 4-2. And here's Guzman, who's 1 for 2. Zimmerman at second on the error by Reyes. Dunn at first. Nats now have 7 hits on the afternoon. Guzman takes a strike.
You see what Ralph was saying about moving around in the box. So you got a left-hand hitter, but you had a right-hand sinker baller out there, Gary, particularly one that had a hard time throwing inside strikes. I would get closer to the plate.
Rolled over to second base. Cora gets the out at second, and that's all. Zimmerman moves over to third. Guzman aboard at first. Now they're at 2 out. Getting inside look at today's game, plus a preview of the upcoming Mets-Marlins series with up-to-the-minute news, insight, and opinion on Mets Blog, presented by Verizon, featured on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Now Willie Harris will bat.
And there's various degrees of getting closer to the plate there. You can be sneaky and get 2 inches closer and have 2 inches more coverage on the outside part of the plate that the catcher and the pitcher won't pick up on, and you can sit on that sinker and have more barrel of your bat out there. Or you can get daring and bold and make a real bold statement and get right on top of the plate, and everybody knows the catcher and the pitcher, then look in. Dare them to throw you in.
You make them throw you in that way, and that's one of the best ways in the world to hit if you can get your hands moving fast enough.
Do you think that players today don't do that because they don't realize those things, or because they just get locked into one position in the batter's box and one swing and can't make the adjustment?
That's really a good question, Gary, because I would guess, and I'm not sure of this, but they don't really know that they can do that. You can make that pitcher do something out there, and the first thing you do when you move up in the plate, pitcher's he doesn't want to hit you. He's going to try and pitch you inside, but he doesn't want to hit you. And I'm not talking about Bob Gibson. He would like to hit you, but that's somebody else.
Harris swinging on 3-0, lofts one down the right field line, but foul.
Wow.
Well, we saw Dunn swinging 3-0 last night and hitting a 3-run homer, but Harris, who's hitting a .180, turned loose on 3-0.
Try to get your hitter going here. It's going to be a fastball. I like it. Here it is, right down the pipe. He's just too quick. That was in the wheelhouse.
You can bring your glove next time, son.
And we were talking last night about how hitting coaches, I think the most important coach on the staff is your pitching coach. I think the hitting coach, you're not going to change hitters. How can you make drastic changes? I think the best thing that a hitting coach can do is teach an approach. A plan of attack up at the plate.
Well, one thing you can do, you got to convince the batter that he can't hit pitches that are the tough ones to hit when you don't have 2 strikes. In other words, you can't swing at bad balls with a count no balls and no strikes. And if you can tell the batter that and make him believe it, and he does that, you can help him a lot.
Guzman gets set to run. 3-2 to Harris. Fouled away.
I remember when Greenville first came with the Mets back in 1962. He would swing at all low curveballs and whatever, whether the pitcher was a left-hand pitcher or right-hand pitcher. And if you could convince him, which he finally did learn, not to swing at the first pitch and ground it to the second baseman on a low inside curveball, it would help him. And he finally learned that, but it took him a while.
Belfry's 99th pitch of the afternoon upcoming, and Harris will make him throw number 100. Do you think it's as much about pitch recognition as anything else, Ralph?
Well, I think, yes. First of all, you got to recognize what the ball is going to be. Is it going to be a strike? Is it going to be a strike that's hard to hit? Is it going to be a strike you can hit? And when you learn that, and you learn to say, okay, I was wrong once or twice, and not give up, then you've got a chance to get through to the batter, and he can learn that.
8th pitch of the at-bat to Harris, and it's up high, ball 4, and the bases are loaded. Belfry a little upset. Takes a little bite out of his glove. Second time he's walked Harris, the only 2 batters he's walked today. And now the Nats leading 4-2, have the bases loaded with 2 out. Roger Bernardino, who homered his last time up, coming to the plate. And Pelfrey at 100 pitches for the afternoon.
I mean, not to belabor a point, but not every hitter is blessed with a good knowledge of the strike zone. And I think what Ralph's saying is, you know, Ed swinging at a curveball over anxious early in his career. It's 1-0. So most of those curveballs are going to be ball 1, and you're hitting 1-0, and it's much better to hit 1-0 as opposed to 0-1.
Get the count in your favor. That's the main thing about taking pitches, and don't swing at pitches that are very tough to hit when you have a chance to take it, and it's not going to call you out.
Raul Valdez getting up in the Mets bullpen. Valdez picked up his first major league win last night when the Mets rallied in the 8th. It's been a slog for Pelfrey this afternoon, trying to keep the Mets in the game, and a big batter for him here, perhaps his last of the day. Bernardino picked up his first major league home run his last time up in the 4th. Bases loaded, 2 out. And the off-speed pitch in for a strike. Manny Acosta, the right-hander, joins Valdez, the left-hander, in the Mets bullpen.
There was a ball player that played in the major leagues named Johnny Bernardino. They were on a great TV star on one of the soap operas and television. Played for the St. Louis Browns. He played for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I knew him well.
Played a doctor, didn't he?
He played a doctor in one of those
General Hospital.
Yeah, General Hospital. Yeah.
He was on that for a long time. 1-1 to Bernardino. No relation. In for a strike, 1-2. Zimmerman at third, Guzman at second, Harris at first with 2 down. Now Pelfrey ahead on Bernardino, 1-2. Missing low, and it's even to Bernardino.
You got to think that split finger right there is setting up the fastball up and in right now. And Mike didn't even want to throw that for a strike. He just showing him something outside. Fastball away for a strike. The pitch prior, 2 pitches away. Going to come inside. Let's see where Barajas. Nope, they're going to go away.
In the air to right field. This one will stay in the ballpark. Frank Corr standing under it. And so Pelfrey gets out of a bases loaded mess in the 5th. Perhaps his afternoon is over after 105 pitches. Enjoy a Subway sandwich from one of the stands here at Citi Field or stop by a location near you. Subway, a proud sponsor of the New York Mets on SNY. Eat fresh.
You know, Gary, one of the people we should acknowledge was Jean Jarvis, and she died, I believe, in this past week. She was the organist here from day one with the New York Mets. A great piano player and great organist, and was a great influence in the Mets' early days.
Jane was just honored in New York recently, posthumously. Mike Pelfrey getting a turn at bat here. He's going to go back to the mound apparently. 105 pitches deep in this game. It's nice to see. Greg Stammen's retired 8 Mets in a row as we start the bottom of the 5th. And there's a strike, 2-2. Mike drove in a run with a second inning single. Angel Pagan followed with a sacrifice fly, and the Mets haven't had another base runner since.
Mike with a big strike zone, which makes it a little bit harder to be a good hitter.
And he rockets one to left, but right at Harris. So Pelfrey's hit the ball hard twice. 9 Mets in a row have been retired now as we check out the Acela 5th inning recap. Craig Stammen has had a fine day on the mound and at the plate, where he's driven in 3 of the 4 Nationals runs. Roger Bernardina accounting for the other with his first big league home run. Mike Pelfrey, 105 pitches in 5 innings, but ready for more on a cool, rainy afternoon. We're still not to an official game yet, but 2 more outs here, and we will be. That's the place to be today, behind glass. There's a strike. 0-1 to Pagan, who has singled and driven in a run with a sacrifice fly. I love those color coordinated umbrellas, by the way. It's very nice. Beautiful shade of Mets orange.
Nice curve outside corner. Almost like a drop, as we used to call it when we were kids.
Swap drop. They go right at 4. Well, we call it 12 to 6.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. On the clock dial.
Only drop kids know today is stop, drop, and roll.
As in shake, rattle, and roll?
No. As in your local fire department coming to visit your school. Stop, drop, and roll.
Oh, I missed that when I went to school.
Yeah, things have changed, Ralph. Safety first now.
I remember when we did the Cuban Missile Crisis back in the 60s. They had to get under our desks as if that was going to help us.
The tuck position. Scores past Nieves 2-2.
It's like get down on your hands and knees and just start praying under your desk, because if they drop a bomb, you're done. A desk is not going to help you.
Well, the one thing we learned, which you didn't have in many states, earthquakes, and what to do when they started to see that ground move.
What they tell you to do?
Get outside. Get away from the building.
Good idea. 2-2 from Stammen. And a quick bat fouls it away. Well, in Pittsburgh this afternoon, Homer Bailey threw a complete game shutout for the Cincinnati Reds, a 4-hitter. Last night, Johnny Cueto threw a complete game shutout, a 1-hitter. It's a very tough couple of decades for the Pirates.
Had to be a 12 noon start, huh?
Yep.
The Pirates have finished under 500 for 17 consecutive years.
And I know that pains you, Ralph.
It sure does.
Ralph, when you played, did you have the sleeveless shirts too?
Yeah, no, we didn't have that. That came afterwards. That was the days of Sargent,
right.
Clemente, and Mazeroski.
3-2. And Pagan hits one well to center field, chasing Morgan back, way back, and it's off the warning track. Pagan to second, takes the turn and holds on there. A long double for Angel Pagan.
Well, I think Morgan got fooled on this ball. He didn't bust back. I didn't think he thought it was hit that well. That ball just beat him. That ball hit pretty good.
I don't think he could have caught up with that ball.
Nope.
Well, Angel clubbed a home run to right center earlier in this series that went about 425 feet. That one was every part of 400. So Pagan 2 for 2 with the sacrifice fly, having himself a fine day. And now with the Mets down by 2 runs in the 5th, Alex Cora will step in with Reyes to follow. So after Stammen had retired 9 in a row, Pagan breaks that up. Cora has grounded to short and fly to center 0 for 2. Getting the start today at second base with Castillo getting a day off. And a fastball strike, 0-1.
You know, the one thing about that 2-base hit, if it had been a free base hit, it changes the whole perspective of the ballgame. And Pagan has great speed.
He already has 3 triples this year, and that's his 3rd double. 1-1 to Cora. Pagan last year had 11 triples and played about 2/3 of a season. This is a great ballpark for triples.
That's not good if you're a home run hitter.
Nope. One and 2 to Cora. Mets trying to dig in here in the 5th inning. There's really no danger of this game being stopped. The misting rain we have right now is probably not going to get any worse. Nonetheless, Stammen still 2 outs shy not only of an official game, but a chance for a win. One, 2 toward the middle, base hit. Pagan turns third. He's being waved home. Morgan doesn't have a great arm, and he makes a bad throw, which enables the tying run to get to second base.
Boy, that is really a big mistake by the center fielder. You can't let the tying run go down to second base on a play where you're trying to get him out of home.
Well, where's Dunn on the cutoff, too? Dunn is nowhere to be seen. Dunn's got to be there to cut that ball off.
With Pagan's speed, there was no way Morgan had any chance to get Pagan at the plate.
It was an ill-advised throw, but Gary, if the cutoff man's there, you can throw to the cutoff man.
So an RBI single for Alex Cora, his 5th run batted in. He takes second on the throw, and now the Mets are a base hit away from tying this game. Reyes is grounded out and flied out 0 for 2. 1-0 to Reyes with Jason Bay to follow. So a double for Pagan, a single for Cora, and the Mets scratch a run back to get within 1. And it's 2-0 to Reyes. And Nieves is going to take that ball out to Stammen, who all of a sudden has found a bump in the road. Mike Pelfrey allowed to bat here in the bottom of the 5th. They'll go to the mound with 105 pitches. His season high this year is 106. Last year his high was 118. His career high is 119. And the Mets will try and get another inning out of Pelfrey today. 2-0 to Reyes. Fastball strike, 2-1.
Fastball away.
That ball right in hittable area.
Yep.
And he takes the pitch, and now he gets a tougher pitch, but it is a ball, so he's lucky there, and has a hitter's count, as they say nowadays. 3-1.
So Reyes, who's been struggling with runners in scoring position, has himself a positive count to deal with here.
And we say that he can look fastball and take it if it's not.
3-1. Ripped down the right field line. That's the base hit for Reyes. That'll tie the game. Cora is in. Reyes to second. He stands with an RBI double, and it's 4-4.
Well, Keith, he got the fastball, and he did a great job of driving in the tying run.
Well, we talked about the count route, getting a favorable count. He got himself into a fastball count there. Hitting ahead of the count when a pitcher's in trouble is always optimal.
Well, last night the Mets came from 5 runs down to win. Twice today they've come from 2 runs down to tie. And now they'll try and grab their first lead of the day with Jason Bay at the plate. And first, a visit from Steve McCatty, the Nationals pitching coach, as Craig Stammen, who had retired 9 in a row, has given up 3 straight hard hits to start this 5th inning. Quiet bullpen for the Nationals. Stammen has thrown just 80 pitches this afternoon. There's the IOTV pitch differential.
Well, there's your difference right down the middle.
We're talking about where you contact that ball. You contact it out in front of the plate by about a foot. And he got that in a perfect spot to hit the RBI.
So now Bay, who's been up twice today and struck out both times against Stammen, the only 2 strikeouts of the day for Stammen. Beginning today, Bay has hit in 11 straight games at Citi Field. Brian Bruni, first man up in the Nats bullpen. He's worked each of the first 2 games. And Bay swings and misses, 0-1. Bruni was on the mound when the Mets started their comeback last night in the 8th inning. Reyes, the go-ahead run at second with 1 out. Would he try and steal third?
He could.
Kennedy, the second baseman, trying to keep him close. And Stammen takes a look. Reyes has 8 steals this year. He had stolen bases in all 3 games of the series against the Giants. Does not have a stolen base in this series. And Bay watches outside, 1-1. David Wright waiting on deck.
Seesaw affair.
Reyes dancing off second, drawing Stammen's attention. Bay hits it to the hole. Reyes trying to advance. Zimmerman's tag, and he's out. Reyes trying to advance on a ball hit in front of him, and Guzman throws it out for the second out.
Well, go ahead, Keith.
No, it's just the one rule. Ball hit to the right. Hit to your right when you're on second base. When you take your lead, you don't advance. Less than 2 outs. Ball hit to your left side or right at you, that's when you can advance to third. And in a tie ball game right there, you're out of scoring position now.
Well, the whole thing about the play, by doing that, he takes a base hit away from Bay, who could not have been thrown out at first base. And he would have had runners at first and second. And 1 more out to go. So a bad play by Jose Reyes.
Now David Wright will take the slider low and away, ball 1. David Watkins scored in the 2nd inning, fouled out to first base in the 3rd, 0 for 1.
Bay stole a base last night, attempted 2 times to steal a base. One he got called back as a foul ball. So he's a threat to steal here, and I sneak one.
1-1 to Wright. Ike Davis hoping for a turn on deck. Bay at first with 2 down. I mentioned earlier there has not been a stolen base against Craig Stammen this year. I wonder whether the moisture on the infield would make Bay a little less inclined to try and run. Got to be a little slow there. Up and in to David, 2-1.
Well, that's tit for tat right there. The third baseman for the Washington ball club was also knocked back by a pitch earlier in this game.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of that against Wright, especially on this homestand. Pulled down toward third, a foul ball.
Hey, this is not a gentleman's game. If you see a chink in the armor, you're going to go and attack that chink in the armor. And we've seen David get beamed last year. I mean, it was as brutal a beam shot as I've seen off of Matt Cain. And they've been brushing him back this year.
The numbers for David since that beating are not what they were before. And teams are going to keep doing that until he shows that he's fully recovered. Tapper foul. 30 pitches in the inning from Stammen.
You know, the one thing about David is the fact that he has good control of his eyes and pitches. He makes a lot of contact, not necessarily square contact, but on pitches. Even though he's had a bad swing at the pitch, which he did there.
Go back in.
2-2. Ball 3. Almost caught plate. And a full count to David Wright. So Bay will be running with 3-2 and 2 down.
Got to double up here. Double up inside, up and in.
One thing, they're holding the runner at first base.
Ball 4. So Wright walks for the second time today. That pushes the go-ahead run back into scoring position and gives a chance to Ike Davis. Third walk given up by Stammen. The second to Wright, who leads the league in walks. So now Davis is 1 for 2, single to Wright and scored a run in the second, grounded out in the fourth. Greg Stammen has seen a 2-run lead disappear here in the 5th inning. Now trying to keep the game tied and keep himself in the game with Bruni up in the bullpen. 2 on and 2 out for Davis. And Ike takes it off the plate for ball 1.
Got a base hit in the second inning. His first time out off a breaking ball. A slider, or you might say nickel curveball.
Two and 0. So it's become a real struggle for Stammen here in the 5th inning. He has all of a sudden hit a wall. Jeff Francoeur on deck. 35 pitches in this inning for Stammen, and he's behind 2-0 on Davis. So this could very well be his last batter if he doesn't get Davis out. And Ike takes a rip and fouls it back. 2-1.
It was not a good pitch to swing at right there.
26-year-old Craig Stammen had elbow surgery last September, very similar to the surgery that Johan Santana had to get bone chips out of his elbow. Looking for his second win of the year, but right now would be happy just to leave in a tie game. 2-1. And Davis watches outside. Ball 3. A walk would fill the bases and bring up Jeff Francoeur.
Pitcher's cracking up, we used to say in Little League.
Johan Santana looking forward to pitching in warmer weather tomorrow night in Miami. It's quite a pitching matchup, Santana against Josh Johnson.
Johnson's really had some trouble so far this year after being an outstanding pitcher last year.
Now the 3-1, and Davis watches ball 4, and the bases are loaded. So back-to-back walks issued by Stammen, and let's see if he's going to get another batter. Jim Riggleman, Steve McCatty talking about it.
And they're going to let him go. Righty-righty, why not?
Well, they have the right-hander in the bullpen in Bruni. And it looks like he is staying in. Francoeur has gone 0 for 2. Slow ground ball to short and a fly ball to center field. Bay is at third, Wright at second, and Davis at first, as the Mets try and take the lead here in the 5th. And Francoeur watches the slider for a strike. 0-1. Jeff, the 8th man up in the inning. A 1-out double by Pagan. Cora singled him home, took second on the throw. Reyes doubled in Cora. And then a couple of 2-out walks that filled the bases. And a good stop by Nieves. That saved a run. 1-1. On 1-1, Frank Cord takes high. 2 balls and a strike. Well, last night, Jim Riggleman had an early hook for a very effective Scott Olson. Here, continuing to roll with a clearly struggling Craig Stammen. Olson out after just 82 pitches last night when he was pitching well. This will be the 99th pitch of the day for Stammen. Bases loaded, 2 out. And Frank Cord swings and misses at the slider, 2-2.
Well, he went for a high slider, and that's really a good pitch to hit if you are right at bat, a hanging high slider. But he couldn't make contact.
This will be the 43rd pitch of the inning from Stammen. And Frank Cord goes the other way. Bernardina going back, reaching, and he makes the diving catch. Roger Bernardina saves 3 runs. Laying out to make the backhand grab and keep the game tied. Ralph Kiner, thanks for joining us. It's been a pleasure as always.
All right, Gary.
For about 20 minutes after his turn at bat, as the Mets scored 2 runs, threatened to score a whole lot more, but for the great glove work of Roger Bernardina. And now Pelfrey, with 105 pitches under his belt, goes back to the mound with the Mets having tied the game. Will Nieves, first pitch curveball, pops it up. Cora with the angle toward the line, makes the grab. So Nieves helps out Pelfrey by going after that first pitch breaking ball. We're going to check in with the studio. Chris Carlin standing by for a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. right, Chris, thanks very much. Meanwhile, here, Alberto Gonzalez will bat for Craig Stammen with 1 out in the top of the 6th. Stammen, I don't know why they wouldn't let him take the turn at bat. He's had a great day at the plate, even if he was done pitching.
He's gassed.
He went 2 for 2 and drove in 3 of the 4 Nationals runs, but he just threw 43 pitches in the top of the inning. In the last of the 5th inning, I should say, and Gonzalez takes a strike 0-2. All right-handed hitting bench for Jim Riggleman today. He's got every lefty in the lineup. Pelfrey working quickly. And he throws a slider low and away. 1-2 to Gonzalez, who had a broken bat hit as a pinch hitter in the game last night. 2-2 to Gonzalez with Nigel Morgan on deck. So a season high in pitches for Pelfrey, but it is certainly a cool day and conducive to a high pitch count. And Gonzalez makes him throw another. Let's check in with Kevin.
You know, guys, part of the ongoing development of Ike Davis is, believe it or not, learning how to catch balls thrown by his infielders. And I know that sounds kind of silly, but in spring training, Ike a lot of times played with the backup guys. He didn't play with a lot of these guys all the time. So I asked him the toughest thing. He said, honestly, catching Jose Reyes. He said, first few times he threw it, I just kept thinking, oh, God, please catch this. He said it's so hard. And he has a motion, a deceptive motion, that it's actually hard to pick up initially. So you got to get used to that. The other guys, really, it's getting used to their tail. He said most guys kind of tail towards right field, so you follow it, not a problem. He said a couple guys, though, will tail in this way, and that's where you have to be careful because if you do a little doinker off your palm. So simple little thing, one of the things that I'm still getting used to here at the major league level, guys.
Well, they say familiarity breeds contempt, but not in this case. You have to get to know your idiosyncrasies of your infielders if you're a first baseman.
How different, Keith, is one guy from another, say, throwing from shortstop?
Reyes would be pretty true. David Wright would throw sinkers. Castillo would throw sinkers sometimes, but you can tell the point of release. If they're throwing more sidearm, you know it's going to tail. You can read in the point of release. David sometimes throws over the top. David's ball would always have a tail to it, or it would run into the runner. Jose's would be straight and true. He's over the top. He's got a great arm. Second base is easy. They're close. But you have to take your ground balls. That's why you take ground balls, and I used to always take my ground balls.
Gonzalez takes one up the middle. Reyes flashing to his left and runs it down. Won't throw, and Davis handles that just perfectly. 2 out.
Nice scoop. Not an easy one. In between hop. Jose ranging to his left. Nicely done. He worked from the ground up on the scoop.
Hey, Keith, not on that throw, but, you know, Jerry Manuel told me the other day that he really likes the way Ike presents his target. Can you explain what that means a little bit?
Well, you get to the bag and you straddle the bag and you just show your glove. You give him a target. If you've got someone like Reyes throwing on the run there and he threw sidearm, you know it's going to be a sinker. When he's throwing sidearm on the run with his body going out towards right field, the ball's going to tail, Kevin, towards home plate. So you give him a target on the other right field side of first base. So that's where he throws the ball to the right side of first base, the right field side of first base. It'll tail back right into your body. You follow me there? And those are the little things that you do that make it easier for your infielders.
Toughest guy you ever caught?
Gary Templeton.
Because?
Greatest arm I ever saw in an infielder, ever had to catch. Loved to show it off, and it didn't do the same thing twice.
Really?
It could take off, it could sink. He had it could sail. He had a great arm.
3-0 now to Nigel Morgan as Pelfrey reaching toward a career high in pitch count. He's never thrown more than 119, and he's about to throw 119 now. With Kennedy on deck, 3-0 to Morgan, and he walked him. So now let's see if they give him another batter or going to take him out after 119 pitches. Yeah, that's going to be all. So Pelfrey will exit with 2 out in the 6th inning, having issued his 3rd walk of the day. And Isanori Takahashi will come on to relieve him. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Lincoln Mercury. 4-4 in the 6th.
Baseball on SNY is brought to you by Verizon Wireless. Ford, check out the best-selling vehicles in America. Drive one at your Tri-State Ford dealer today. And Taco Bell, think outside the bun.
Oh, brilliantly executed.
I just mimic you.
Do you have more to read now?
No, I have no more copy. In the Subway Series promo you see right there, Mets.com, 718-507-TICKS. I believe that's that for tickets. Are there tickets available actually for the Subway Series?
There are, and you're going to tell us about it.
Well, they are on sale, and the single game tickets for the 2010 Subway Series at Citi Field are on sale now. Visit Mets.com. We already gave you that information. It's right there for you to read. I would strongly urge you to come to the ballpark and root on your Metropolitans.
That's all you need to say. Isanori Takahashi takes over the pitching with 2 out of the 6th inning. Nyjer Morgan at first base, a guy who's a threat to go, and Adam Kennedy takes a strike. Takahashi has been nothing short of brilliant.
He has been spectacular, and look at the strikeouts to innings pitched, which is just terrific. The 10 walks. Okay, he pitches around certain hitters. He knows what he's doing out there. I don't put much credence to his walks per innings pitched. He knows what he's doing out there.
Mike Pelfrey matching a career high with 119 pitches today, over 5 2/3. Takahashi working for the 3rd straight day. He worked 2 scoreless innings last night through 18 pitches in that game. Worked a scoreless inning in the first game of the series through just 9 pitches in that game. Kennedy is 0 for 3, struck out, grounded out, flied out. 4-4 game in the 6th. Toward the hole, and a base hit for Kennedy as he took Takahashi the other way. Morgan pulls in at second, and the Nats have the go-ahead run in scoring position with Ryan Zimmerman coming up.
Well, Jerry's going to stick with Takahashi because Takahashi gets right-handers out as well, probably better than lefties. But this is a red-hot hitter right here, and one of the best hitters in the game, and you just got to be very careful.
The lefty Sean Burnett up in the Nats bullpen as the starter Stammen is left for a pinch hitter. Nats trying to get a run and give him a chance for a win. Zimmerman 0 for 3 today, reached on an error by Reyes his last time up. You got a fast man Morgan, the go-ahead run at second base. And it's off the corner, ball 1. Well, there are the last 5 days for Takahashi. And pitching for the 4th time in 5 days. And for a guy who was a starting pitcher for almost all of his career in Japan, this is quite an adjustment and one he's handled very well. And the curveball to Zimmerman for a strike. 1-1.
Zim is one of those guys that really stays, at a level on the high pitch. So strong, such a quick bat.
Fastball inside, 2-1.
You got to wonder here if he falls behind. This is a critical pitch right here. If he's just going to say, okay, if I'm 3-1, do I just throw it away, load the bases, and take my chances with the left-hand hitting done? Zim's a guy that can hit third in our lineup.
Just about anybody's lineup. Mets have held him in check, but he has been swinging the bat well. Good off-speed pitch. 2-2.
No, not a strike. Change up. Good sink. Nice pitch. Fish for biting.
Zimmerman is just 2 for 17 against Met pitching this year, but one of those 2 was a home run in the opening game of this series.
He swung the bat good this entire series.
Sometimes the results don't reflect the process. It's 2-2 to Zimmerman with 2 out and 2 on. The runners go. Swung on and missed. He struck him out. Takahashi fans Zimmerman and strands a pair.
remember that one year Rusty went to Detroit and didn't make the All-Star team. Rusty had around 70-something RBI at the All-Star break and didn't go to the All-Star game. I'll never forget that.
Sean Burnett takes over the pitching for the Nationals as we go to the bottom of the sixth.
So far in this 3-game series, the two left-handers for the Nationals haven't been sterling. Slayton last night got out of the jam.
You saw the number on Burnett there. The lefties are hitting .350 against him, and his job is to get lefties out. He's done a better job against righties, and he'll face a right-hand hitter here. Rod Barajas leading off the bottom of the sixth. Rod is 0 for 1, and he takes a knee-high fastball for a strike. Craig Stammen through 5 innings allowed 4 runs and 5 hits. He walked 4 and struck out 2 and leaves with a no decision. Barajas reaches and fouls it off 0-2. Gary Matthews Jr. has come out on deck to be a pinch hitter for Takahashi, and then Angel Pagan, who's had a good day with the bat, is behind him. Matthews finally got his first pinch hit in yesterday's game.
Well, we've played such close ball games of late that Jerry's used his bench, and Matthews has, as a result, has had some chances to get some pinch hits and get some at bats.
And Barajas chases one outside, and Burnett fans the first man to face him. So 1 out and nobody on. And now Matthews Jr., who singled to center field in the 5th inning last night. He had been 0 for 11 as a pinch hitter before that hit. And perhaps that'll get Gary going. That's bullpen. That's bench has a little different look now with the addition of Chris Carter, with the impact he made last night. It's fairly early to be seeing Pedro Feliciano up in the bullpen, but with Adam Dunn leading off
Guzman
in the 7th.
Yep. Got to think that Riggleman is going to counter with some right-handed bats. He's got an entire bench from the right side.
Well, first Barajas and now Matthews chasing that Burnett fastball well off the plate. And it's 0-1 to Gary. John Burnett, the former Pittsburgh Pirate, came over in the deal for Lastings Millage last summer. They also got Niger Morgan in that deal. And that's outside, 2-1. The Mets trying to win a rubber game of a series for the first time this year. They are 0-5 in rubber games.
And they were very good last year in rubber games.
Now the 2-1, and Matthews can't find the fastball down. It's 2-2. Well, you mentioned the close games. The Mets have played 8 straight games decided by 2 runs or less. That's the longest such streak they've had in 8 years. And remember, earlier in the season, every game seemed to be lopsided for or against. Over the course of the season, you'll see just about everything. 3-2 now to Matthews.
How come the left-handers always have their hats on cockeyed?
You think that's true?
Look at that. It's like a farmer. No offense to farmers out there.
You were a left-hander. Did you wear your hat cockeyed?
I never wore my hat cockeyed.
There you go. Just proves your theory. 3-2, struck him out. Matthews goes down swinging. Back-to-back strikeouts for Burnett to start the bottom of the 6th.
Well, I just got to think Gary's not seeing the ball out of the hand very well right now. There you go. Look at that. Looks like put a little chew tobacco in his mouth and then have him sit on a rocking chair in a porch.
Oh, you put that chew in your mouth, your whole head is lopsided, so that would account for the cap being lopsided.
See, that hat's perfect.
Looks like it's sitting a little high in your head.
No, it's not. Trust me. I always used to line up my stripes, my piping stripe down the side of my pants with my stripes down the side of my jersey. Excuse me.
So you were very meticulous.
I lined up my stripes. Absolutely.
Fortunately, now guys don't have to do that.
A giant of a man.
Pagan takes a curveball for a strike, and it's 0-2. Angel is single to right, lifted a sacrifice fly, and hit a long double to center. All of that is a left-hand batter, where he's been far more effective this year. He's hitting just 188 as a right-hand batter. 1-2 to Pagan with Alex Cora on deck. But you are right, his hat is slightly lopsided.
Lefties always have a way of doing things like that.
Well, as he turns his head toward home plate, his cap is pointing in the right direction.
Look at it. Come on. It's off center.
In the dirt, 2-2.
Doesn't matter as long as you get people out.
And a full count to Pagan. So the second straight batter that Burnett has gone to a full count on. Three and 2 to Pagan, and he drives one to deep center field. Back goes Morgan, going back, and he jumps to make the grab. Well, Pagan has hit some real drives this afternoon. This one Morgan's able to catch up with, and it's the third out of the inning. For the Mets in the seventh inning with Adam Dunn due to lead off in a tie ball game. Pedro making his second appearance in this series and his 20th of the year. Had a rough outing here on Monday night. Gave up 3 straight hits to start the 8th inning, including a double to Dunn, who is now 8 for 21 against Feliciano in his career. And this is Pedro's man. Dunn is 2 for 3 today, a single and a double. And he scored a run. Mets do not overshift, and he breaks his bat, rolls one to the right side. Cora feeds to Feliciano, and they get Dunn on one pitch. Interesting that they did not have the overshift on, figuring Feliciano to pitch Dunn away, but Dunn broke his bat in half. And you see Reyes on the left side of the infield. And he got the fastball in on Dunn. Snapped the bat, and a 4-1 putout, and Feliciano gets a huge out to start the 7th inning. So one away, here's Christian Guzman, who is 1 for 3, single to center and scored a run back in the second. He'll turn around about right-handed, and he's been far more effective as a right-hand batter this year, hitting .405 from this side of the plate. Feliciano getting a day off yesterday after pitching 3 straight days, and less effective the 3rd day, and we saw that last week as well in Cincinnati. Had a rough 3rd straight day. Actually, maybe it was the 4th straight in that circumstance. Last year, 88 appearances, a new Met Club record. Pitching for the 20th time in the first 34 games, so he's ahead of that pace, as is Fernando Nieve. The Mets have made more pitching changes than any team in the National League. And Guzman takes inside, and Feliciano behind 3-1. Willie Harris due up next, and for the moment he's out on deck. Plenty of right-handed hitting in the dugout for Jim Riggleman if he wanted to make a change. Fastball hit to center field. In comes Pagan. 2 out. So Guzman flies out on a 3-1 pitch. Fernando Nieve, just mentioned him, didn't we? Is up in the bullpen. So here's Harris, who's walked twice and fouled out to third, 0 for 1. Tyler Walker has worked in the first 2 games in this series, gets up again in the Nationals bullpen. So Harris stays in to face the lefty.
I just think you see the differences in these 2 ball clubs. And I got to give the edge, a big edge in bullpens to the Mets. In this Nationals club, it's been a pretty evenly matched series, hard fought. But I would strongly prefer the Met bullpen over the Nationals bullpen.
Jim Riggleman's gotten a great effort out of his closer this year. Matt Capps is 13 for 13, but he has not gotten him into a game yet in this series. Tyler Clippard had been going great until last night. There's a strike, 0-2 to Harris. But I think you're right. The other guys have struggled for the most part.
In today's game, with so much importance on the bullpens,
and the Met bullpen should only get better once they get Ryota Igarashi back healthy. He was just starting to come into his own.
Oh, he was phenomenal. I loved him.
Should be back not too distant future. Harris takes strike 3 called, and he knew it. So Feliciano bounces back with a 1-2-3 inning. 7th.
Really?
Almost a majority.
I don't think fans out there that want to put that much on a young rookie, to be honest with you. All right? I understand where you're coming from.
So you're expressing understanding for the sentiment, but rejecting the idea.
And questioning their judgment, too.
Well, you know, it's the new flashy thing that always attracts the eye. Alex Cora leads off in the home seventh and lines one base hit in the right center field. Cora seems to be at his best against left-handed pitching. And he attacks the first pitch from Sean Burnett, and the Mets have the lead run aboard.
Fastball middle in, too much plate. Nice hitting by Alex.
Alex is now 4 for 6 in this series. Now that big bunt single in the game last night to fuel the Mets' 8th inning rally. Do you bunt with Reyes?
They're going to flip-flop here.
Well, Jim Riggleman, after watching Burnett throw a 1-2-3 6th inning and give up a leadoff hit in the 7th, is going to make the change here and bring in Tyler Walker to turn Reyes back around to the left side. Pitching change in a 4-4 game. We'll be right back. Comes out, and Tyler Walker will work for the 3rd straight day. He'll go in the 6th hole.
Well, Walker, it's a rematch with Jose Reyes. And the last time, remember, he struck him out on a 3-2 slider, knees in black, to end the inning, and Jose got ejected from that ball game, disputing the call. I thought it was a strike. Pitcher's pitch. But you know what, as a hitter, it's payback time.
Walker came back last night and got 2 big outs in the 6th inning. Now faces Reyes here, so I'll ask the question again. Do you bunt?
No. He's your 3rd hitter.
Reyes doubled to drive in the tying run in the 5th inning. Pulled one down the right field line. Cora at first and nobody out, and he does square and bunts it foul.
Well, I don't know if that was relayed from Jerry or Jose doing on his own.
Well, he's looking down at Chip Hale to get a sign. Mets have set the table well today. The 1 and 2 hitters are 4 for 7. And if you add Reyes, the 1, 2, and 3 hitters are 5 for 10 in this game.
Zimmerman in at the corner, deeply in.
Is that an oxymoron?
I don't
0-2 to Reyes.
Too many words there. Sorry.
So now Reyes in a 2-strike hole, unable to get the bunt down, and you have to figure he'll be out swinging now. Although Zimmerman's going to hedge his bets and stay in at third base. Not holding against Cora.
He could stay at the cut of the grass where he's at and move back with the pitch. He should. Pitcher breaks from the belt. You just move back with the pitch. But he won't do it.
On 0-2, Reyes swings and pops one up in foul ground. Zimmerman chasing, but he runs out of room. It's been misting all day with the wind blowing in from right field, and the track gets heavier and heavier, and the air fills with more moisture.
We'll be in 86-degree weather by dinner time.
Escape to Florida, unless the ceiling's too low and you can't fly out.
I know exactly where I'm going to go have dinner. I'm going to rent a car and go to Michael's Genuine Food and Drink.
If you're in the area, stop by and say hi to Keith.
I'll have my vanishing cream on. Good luck.
Here's the 0-2. Double play ball right at Kennedy. Guzman with the turn. 4-6-3 double play. Reyes asked to bunt, couldn't get it down, winds up grinding into a 4-6-3 double play, 2 out and nobody on.
Tailor-made, even for the speedy Reyes.
So the base is empty for Jason Bay, who's had a rough day at the plate. 0 for 3, struck out twice and grounded into a fielder's choice on a base running mistake by Reyes in the 5th. He pulls this one, though, through the hole, and Bay is aboard. So that double play looking larger now, as Bay has his first hit of the day, extends his hitting streak to 6 straight games, 12 straight at Citi Field. And a chance for David Wright. David has walked twice, scored a run, otherwise 0 for 1. 27 walks now for David to lead the National League. He's on the pace for about 120 walks. Started the day 9th in the league in on-base percentage, despite all the strikeouts. In many ways, 2010 has been a continuation for David of 2009.
It has.
Although he's had a few more home runs. 7 home runs this year, 6 of them on the road. And the curveball stays high from Walker. Ike Davis hoping for a turn on deck.
Never liked swinging those, whatever you want to call them.
Lead pipe?
Yeah, but just too heavy.
Wright is 3 for 5 in his career against Walker. He takes that breaking ball for a strike. 1-1. That's in another close game late. That's have come from 2 runs down to tie twice today. They've never led. And Bay diving back in. Jason with 3 steals on the year, including 1 in this series. But again, that track is so slow with all the rain today. See how the color of the infield has changed as the day has gone along. 1-1 to Wright. Fastball in tight. 2-1. Charlie Walker doesn't throw nearly as hard as he used to.
No.
There was a time he was throwing 93, 94.
He's thrown decent in this series, though.
And David fouls off the slider, and it's 2-2.
It's interesting to see the transition of a lot of players. Walker, as you said, Garrett came up a hard thrower. Didn't really know how to pitch, and some guys can't make the adjustment when they get hurt and they don't throw as hard. Some guys don't have the ability to find a way to get hitters out with less stuff, or less velocity, I should say, and then learn how to pitch.
There goes Bay. Swung on and missed, and Wright is struck out to end the inning. So Walker gets the strikeout after getting the double play from Reyes. We head to the eighth. Hank Greenberg was one.
You got it.
And Juan Gonzalez the other. Greenberg in 35 did not make the All-Star team, driving in 100 runs before the break.
I don't want to take anything away from anybody, but I'll think that 1935 is much more impressive than 1998.
Roger Bernardino leads off against Pedro Feliciano in the 8th inning. Pedro worked a 1-2-3 7th. Well, the 30s were a pretty good hitting decade, too.
It's true.
Bernardino hit his first major league home run against Mike Pelfrey in the 4th, and he takes a slider for a strike. Bernardino hit a rope into the seats in right field. Home run coming in his 115th major league at bat. And another breaking ball for a strike. And Feliciano had 1-2. Juan Nieves on deck, and then Willie Taveras. Remember that in the dugout, the Nats have Josh Willingham as a late inning pinch hitter. Didn't start today. And the curveball pulled into right field, a base hit. So 3 straight breaking balls from Feliciano, and on the 3rd one, Bernardino picks up a leadoff hit. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin standing by with the New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. All right, thanks, Chris. Meanwhile, pitching change here after Feliciano gives up a leadoff hit in the 8th. Fernando Nieve will come on to face Will Nieves. Sunday against the Giants.
And he has been spectacular.
Comes in here to face Will Nieves. The Mets look for the bunt with Bernardina at first, and he goes diving back in. Bernardina, a speedster. Nieves 1 for 3, double to right in the 4th against Pelfrey. Willie Taveras in the 9-hole is on deck.
And you see right there, corners in. Got to worry about the potential sacrifice.
4-4 game in the 8th, and Nieves drops the bunt down, and Davis lets it roll foul. Well, as we mentioned, Fernando Nieves has had a couple of days off, a rarity for him. Had pitched 3 straight days before that.
Well, he needed it. And, 21st appearance. Mets have played. This is their 34th ball game.
Well, Josh Willingham has now come out on deck rather than Willie Taveras. And the bunt is down. Nicely done by Nieves. Nieves gets the out. Sacrifice goes 1-3, moving Bernardina to second with the go-ahead run. Well, this is an interesting graph that we've put together about the way relief pitching has evolved over the years. It used to be when you bring in a relief pitcher, you'd leave him around for a while. The average back in 1960 was almost 5.5 outs per relief appearance. Now, the average relief appearance is barely more than an inning.
Very interesting.
In this game, Takahashi got 1 out. Feliciano got 3 outs. Nieves now gotten 1 and looking for a couple more as Josh Willingham steps in to pinch hit. Willingham started the first 2 games of this series and went 1 for 8. Always a dangerous hitter, particularly against the Mets, and he bails out from the breaking ball 1-0. So Riggleman double switched Taveras into the game for defense, but when his spot comes up, Taveras never bats. And Willingham up instead with the left-hand hitting Nigel Morgan on deck. And I would think even with the lefty on deck, you got to pitch very carefully to Willingham. Tyler Clippard up in the bullpen after having a rough night last night.
Looking for redemption.
1-1 to Willingham.
Took his first loss last night. He was 6-0 coming into that game last night.
Raul Valdez back up in the Mets bullpen. He was up earlier. One and one to Willingham with Bernardina at second. And he lifts one down the right field side. Frank Core with a long run over. Watches it sail out of play. 1-2 to Willingham, who has a base hit in his only career at bat against Fernando Nieves. Let's see. We're playing baseball here. It's 48 degrees. They're playing baseball in Denver, where the Rockies lead Roy Halladay and the Phillies 1-0 in the third. It's 41 degrees there, and it's supposed to snow tonight for the second half of their day-nighter. It's 84 in Miami right now.
That'll be fine.
We're coming. Here's the 1-2.
Oh, I forgot my bathing suit.
Gym shorts will do.
It's one piece.
One piece of what? Oh, boy.
I'm very conservative.
I've heard that about you.
Have to buy one, obviously. They have a nice pool in that hotel.
They do sell bathing suits in Florida. I do know that. 2-2 to Willingham. Low and away in a full count. Barajas stopping that fastball in the dirt. David trying to get some of the mud out of his spikes. It's been that kind of a day. Misty and rainy all afternoon. Cool and windy. Three and 2 to Willingham. And he walked him. So Willingham is aboard. Now 2 on and 1 out. And the speedy Niger Morgan will come up. That's 4 walks today for Met pitchers. That pitching staff has yielded the most walks in the league, and stunningly, despite that, they're 4th in the league in ERA. It's not a combination that usually presents itself.
Again, David Wright playing in. Morgan can bunt. And always, he puts your defense on edge here. You see David in the corner. It leaves that hole between Reyes and David for Morgan to poke it through.
Very tough man to double up. And Morgan takes low and inside. Nieve having trouble throwing strikes with his fastball. 1-0. Maybe he's too well rested.
Nieve's been very, very good this year. Nice pickup.
Another guy's been a starter through most of his career. Making the adjustment. Morgan drives one to left center field. Pagan got a late start, but he makes the catch. Going away, Pagan on the backhand takes an extra base hit away from Morgan.
Well, he had the bad break. He thought it was in tighter. He recovered with pure speed here. Nice recovery. He knew he had to get on his horse there. A defense.
So now 2 out of the inning, and here's Adam Kennedy, who's 1 for 4, single to left his last time up. That was against Isanori Takahashi. The Nats have 9 hits, the Mets have 8. 4-4 in the 8th. And Kennedy takes a strike. Slider from Nieve to start him off. Bernardinez at second, and Willingham at first with 2 down.
Oh, nice play.
Barajas making like a shortstop. Deep in the hole.
Good hands.
Again, Nieve going to that rake on the back of the mound to try and get some of the mud out of his spikes.
Who can get the big hit here for both clubs? They've had opportunities.
1-1 to Kennedy. Lofted foul. And now Nieve 1 strike away from getting out of it. Feliciano began the inning, gave up a leadoff hit to Bernardina, who was moved up on a sacrifice. Nieve walked Willingham. Got Morgan on a well-hit fly ball. And now trying to dispose of Kennedy. In a ball game that's now 3 hours old. With a long way to go. 1-2. Another backhand stop by Barajas, and it's 2-2.
Who threw the shutout against the Yankees?
Rick Porcello started that game. Jersey kid on a Seton Hall prep. Started a day-night doubleheader in Detroit.
Who took the Lawrence for the Yankees?
That was Javier Vasquez, who pitched very well today.
He needed to, didn't he?
But his 1-loss record doesn't reflect it. He's now 1-4. Now Nieve on 2-2. This is low and away, and so a full count to Kennedy. And so that'll put the runners in motion. Bernardina's going to score just about any hit to the outfield anyway, but now he'll get the automatic start. So will Willingham at first. Zimmerman on deck if Kennedy can keep the inning going.
Well, a gapper, what this does is a gapper, a ball down the line is going to score Willingham. That's the critical thing. The backhand runner is the one that's going to score an extra base hit.
3-2. And he walked him, and the bases are loaded for Ryan Zimmerman. Second walk of the inning for Nieve. Dan Warthen will come out for a visit before Nieve takes on Zimmerman with the bases full.
Oh boy, playing with fire.
Raul Valdez standing around waiting in case Adam Dunn gets to the plate in this inning. But if Dunn does get to the plate, it would be with the Nationals in the lead.
Zimmerman 0 for 6 lifetime against Fernando.
And Zimmerman is 0 for 4 today, 2 for 11 in the series, and just 2 for 18 against Met pitching this year. And you wouldn't think that the way he's been swinging the bat. Takahashi struck him out his last time up in the 6th inning with 2 men on. And now Nieve will face him with 3 men aboard. Bernadina at 3rd, Willingham at 2nd, and Kennedy at 1st in a 4-4 game in the 8th. So some heavy lifting for Fernando Nieve, pitching for the first time in 3 days.
Slider first pitch. He likes to throw away. Fastball. Yep. Let's see. Yep. He set up away.
And Zimmerman fouls back a first pitch fastball, nothing in 1.
Big cut. Big cut. Vicious.
The Nationals, with the bases loaded this year, are hitting .385. At least they were starting the day today. They've had a couple of opportunities in this game. The pitcher Stammen hasn't had a bases loaded hit with 2 out in the 2nd. That drove in the first 2 Washington runs. And Zimmerman attacks the fastball and fouls another one off, knocking the mask right off Barajas. Great when you can smile after that.
Now the fastball, you see, you kids out there, you're more apt to get away with a mistake on the fastball than you are with a mistake on the breaking ball. There's 2 good fastballs that went right after him, and he's 0-2. You gotta love that kind of. You gotta love it.
So now Nieve hoping to put him away. Couldn't get him to chase that fastball. 95, the hardest pitch he's thrown. 1-2. Bernadina the lead run at 3rd. Willingham and Kennedy behind him. Adam Dunn would be next. 1-2. Breaking ball fouled back. Zimmerman with 6 home runs. He's driven in 16. From Nieve. Bounce to short. Reyes has the big hop, gets the force play, and gets Nieve through the inning. The Nats strand 3. Ike Davis leads off in the bottom of the 8th when we come back. SNY. For more on the Mets and Marlins tomorrow night, let's check in with Kevin.
First of all, Gary, until you called it Sun Life Stadium, I had no idea what it was called. So thank you for that. Second of all, you go back to last year. I mean, maybe the best pitching matchup all year was that first week. Johan Santana, Josh Johnson. We get it again tomorrow night. It should be great. Now, as far as Johnson's season goes, he was really set back in the spring, if you remember. He had that bad bout of the flu, kind of set him back. Got out of the gate slow. Suffered his only loss of the year right here on opening day when the Mets got 4 runs off him in just 5 innings. Seems like, though, he's finally starting to find a groove. Last 5 starts, he's got at least 6 innings. Included in there was a complete game, 12 strikeout effort against the Padres. He's still not totally himself. Here's a weird stat, though. At home, 4 starts, 37 strikeouts. On the road, 3 starts, just 10. He's at home. That's where he's won all 3 of his games. Should be a dandy tomorrow night.
Yeah, in many ways, both Johnson and Santana are kind of settling in now. Josh Willingham stays in the game in left field. Tyler Clippard trying to bounce back from his loss last night. 0-1 to Ike Davis, and the changeup low and away, 1-1. Davis tonight is 1 for 2. He singled and scored in the second, walked in the 5th. Jeff Francoeur on deck, and then Rod Barajas. 4-4, bottom of the 8th. The 8th was the big inning for the Mets last night. And a big cut by Davis. 1-2. And there is the pitching matchup tomorrow at Sun Life Stadium. Santana and Johnson, the aces of each staff, going head-to-head as the Mets and Marlins start a 4-game series. Mets play 4 in Florida, 2 in Atlanta, and 2 in Washington before they come home weekend after next to play the Yankees. And Davis hits one hard, but right at Kennedy for the first out. So Davis retired on a hard hit grounder. 1 out in the bottom of the 8th. And now Jeff Francoeur, who was the only man that Clippard retired last night. He struck out Francoeur, the first man to face him, then gave up 4 straight hits. Wound up being charged with 3 runs and 4 hits in a third of an inning and taking the loss. Clippard, the former Yankee, coming right over the top. And the breaking ball misses 1-0. Rod Barajas, who had one of the big hits against Clippard last night, waiting on deck. Two straight breaking balls. That's unusual for Clippard, who's mostly a fastball changeup guy. 2-0.
Well, Francoeur has been having a hard time catching up to hard stuff in his slump. And he's throwing into his strength with off-speed breaking stuff, and he's got himself now in a fastball count.
And the fastball bounced slowly. Zimmerman had a late start in, bobbles it, and Francoeur is safe. Zimmerman, I'm not sure if he stumbled or if he just hesitated before charging, but it threw off his timing.
See him on his toe. Oh, he stumbled out of the gate, number 1, on the exchange. See, he had time. He's got a little bit of a bad habit with his one hand here. And that's a tough chance right there to go for 2 hands. That's a little overcritical on my part.
You think he should have barehanded the ball?
No, he did the right thing. I'm wrong.
They're going to charge an error on Zimmerman, the Gold Glover. Luis Aguilano, who started the game here on Monday night, up in the bullpen.
How about that?
I would assume just for between starts work, but maybe not. So the Mets have the lead run aboard. Francoeur, who stole a base in the game last night. Barajas at the plate and Chris Carter on deck.
Steal it. You get a jump.
And a fastball strike to Barajas, who's 0 for 2. Barajas against Clippard last night doubled off the wall and left to drive in 2 runs. K-Rod is up in the Mets bullpen, ready to pitch the ninth, and hoping for a lead to pitch with after getting the save last night. Oh, 1 to Barajas. And Rod pulls one foul.
As is his wont.
Pulls him fair, pulls him foul.
He can pull the ball.
He's got a knack, doesn't he, of keeping balls fair that other guys would pull foul. Those inside fastball. But now he's in a 2-strike hole. And the curveball outside. 1-2. Chris Carter pacing. 1-2 to Barajas. Popped it up. Kennedy retreating onto the outfield grass. 2 out.
Pretty good curveball right there.
So 2 out of the inning, and now the second chance for the Animal. Made quite an impression in his debut last night.
He got a changeup. Don't tell me he wasn't nervous, but boy, the big run he drove in right there. And another opportunity here.
Last time that a Met player had a game-winning pinch hit in his first at bat as a Met, back to Carlos Baerga 14 years ago. And that's what Carter did last night. It was his first career extra base hit, not his first hit. He had been with the Red Sox for cups of coffee each of the last 2 years. Bats here with the lead run at first and 2 out in the 8th against the same pitcher he faced last night. And Clipper delivers a curveball in for a strike. A lot of curveballs from Clipper today.
Well, he's obviously didn't have it yesterday. And athletes come back. It's redemption time, and Redeemer, he's got his hat screwed on tight, and he's ready to go to work.
Straight, too.
Yes, right-handed.
Fires to first, almost ripped the mitt right off Adam Dunn. Frank Crow wasn't very far off the bat. Carter was hitting .336 at Buffalo when he was called up. And he goes after a high changeup and fouls it off. 0-2.
I just don't. I think Clipper just isn't too much in love with his changeup. It's a good pitch, but he's got a heck of a curveball. To me, his change should be his third pitch.
Now he's ahead 0-2 on Chris Carter. And he fouls off the fastball to stay alive.
Good cut. I don't think he's going to see number 1 again. Not with 0-2. He's going to see a little Uncle Charlie here.
Phillies have tied up the Rockies 1-1 in the 4th in Colorado. Braves have won. They beat Milwaukee 9-2. Angel Pagano's had a good day. Is on deck. He has really swung the bat well in this game. And Angel appears to be getting hot.
Wants it down.
0-2 to Carter. Hit in the air, right center field. Moving over is Bernardina. He's there. And that retires the side. So Carter lofts one to right. And we go to the 9th with Adam Dunn to lead off for the Nats in a 4-4 game. develops into a tie game as we head to the ninth.
And this has happened more than a few times so far this year, where Jerry's brought in Frankie for the ninth for 1 inning.
Well, it's the move to make when you're home and there's no save opportunity once you get to the ninth inning tied. So Frankie will get a crack at his 3rd win of the year if he can hold the Nats off the board and the Mets can get him a run. He'll have to take on Adam Dunn to lead off in the top of the ninth. And here's your Home Depot doing more on defense as the Mets put on the shift.
There is your Bermuda Triangle.
Dunn maybe not quite as deep as he was last night in a similar situation against Dunn, when he really had to charge a ball and got him by just a half a stride at first base. There's a strike to start him off. Dunn is 2 for 4 today. Last time up against Feliciano, first pitch, Pedro got one in on his hands, broke his bat, and he rolled one out to second. A-Rod had a relatively easy night last night. He threw just 6 pitches to get the save. And then broke out the big smile when Ike Davis caught that ball for the final out. He was laughing.
Didn't have to throw another pitch.
Nope. Will make you happy. Christian Guzman on deck, and then the pitcher's spot for the Nats. They still have 2 players left on their bench, Ian Desmond and Pudge Rodriguez. In at the knees for a strike. I'm sure Dunn thought so. 1-2.
Good strike. Knees and black.
Dunn's a guy who takes a lot of pitches.
Too many, I think.
1-2 from Frankie. Line the other way, but right at bay. A hard hit ball by Dunn. A rarity seeing him go the other way, but Bay was perfectly positioned to grab it for the first out. Let's check in to see what's coming up on Lincoln Mercury Post Game Live with Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda. All right, guys, we'll see you after the game. Christian Guzman steps in. He's 1 for 4 on the day. And Rodriguez is curveballed in for a strike, 0-1. Guzman now back to batting left-handed, which has been his weaker side this year. Started the day just .233 as a left-hand batter. Hit hard and a base hit into right field. So on the changeup, Guzman pulls one through a huge hole on the right side, and the Nats have the lead run aboard with 1 out. And now Ian Desmond will come up to pinch hit for Tyler Clippard. Desmond started the first 2 games of the series at shortstop, went 1 for 8, and drove in a run with a base hit last night in the 5th inning against Manny Acosta. Miguel Batista on your left, Matt Capps on your right. You'll probably see Batista if the game is tied, Capps if the Nats have the lead in the bottom of the ninth. K-Rod ready to work to Desmond with a 1 out and 1 on, and he fouls off the first offering, the curveball, 0-1. Desmond 0 for 2 in his career against K-Rod. Roger Bernardina, who's had a big night, is on deck. Bernardina has hit a home run, had another hit, and saved 3 runs with a diving catch in right field. That was back in the 5th when the Mets tied up the game. There's been no further scoring. Now the 0-1 and a high fly ball to center. Now Pagan settling under it, and that's the second out. Back to first goes Guzman, now 2 away for K-Rod, and he'll take on Bernardina. Well, this was in the 5th inning after the Mets had tied it and had the bases loaded.
Well, they were loaded, and that's a game saver right there. That is 3 runs.
And then later in the game, Pagan making a bid, and Morgan going back to get it.
And the Mets have made some nice plays out there. Pagan made a nice play. So it's been a well-played ball game.
Bernardina 2 for 4, including his first major league home run. And he takes a curveball for a strike. Mets have used 5 pitchers today. Mike Pelfrey went 5 2/3 to a career-high tying 119 pitches. Takahashi, Feliciano, and Nieve all throwing up zeros. Mets bullpen was great last night. It's been great again today. Last night 4 2/3 scoreless for the bullpen. And a high fly ball deep to right center. Back goes Frank Cora looking up at the wall, and it's out of here. Roger Bernardina, who had not hit a major league home run before today, hits his second of the day. A long shot into the bullpen with a man aboard, and the Nats take a 6-4 lead in the top of the 9th inning. Wow. Out of nowhere, Roger Bernardina showing off his power. What a day for Bernardina. The Curacao native has had himself an afternoon. A great catch to save 3 and 2 home runs to drive in 3.
And nothing cheap about that bomb. Second pitch of the at-bat. Fastball or change, I'm not sure. It looked like a changeup. And there's nothing. That's out.
I mean, he crushed that
He
ball.
sure did.
That's 440 feet. I mean, the first one was a line drive right down the right field line. You say, okay, he got fortunate, but that was a bomb.
A bomb and a half.
Abomination.
Wow.
A revelation for Roger Bernardina. 1-1 to Nieves, and he takes a strike. Bernardina had hit 47 minor league home runs. The most he ever had in a year was 12 back in 2005 in Savannah. Hit none last year, 4 the year before that in the minor leagues. And now he's hit his first 2 major league home runs this afternoon. Nieves goes fishing, and that'll do it for the Nats in the top of the 9th, but not before K-Rod gives up a 2-run homer to Roger Bernardina, second of the day and second of his life. 6-4 Nats as the Mets try and rally in the bottom of the 9th. free with IOTV. By Toyota. Toyota's national sales event is going on now. Hurry into your Toyota dealer today. By Parts Authority, the future of auto parts. By Hager, established 1926. Your own great moment starts at Hager.com. And by Chevy, find your nearest dealer on ChevyOffers.com or call 877-64-CHEVY. Adam Kennedy moves to first base. Christian Guzman moves to second base. And Ian Desmond stays in at shortstop. And Matt Capps, who's been perfect, will come on to try and save it for the Nats. Top of the order for the Mets in the bottom of the ninth.
Well, Capps has had his rest. They've been overworking him. 13 of 13, perfect in the save department.
Pagan's had a good day at the plate. 2 for 3, a single, a double, a sac fly, and a long fly that was caught by Morgan, and Capps falls behind him 2-0. Matt Capps did not have a good year last year for Pittsburgh. His earned run average was 5.80. He gave up 73 hits in 54 innings last year, but he has turned it completely around after signing as a free agent with the Nats. Fastball strike, 2-1.
I really thought it was a great pickup for the Nationals. I thought they really did a lot of things in the offseason to make their ball club better.
Pagan is 1 for 4 against Capps. And he takes a fastball for a strike, and it's 2-2.
Hard thrower. Got to dial it up a notch.
Alex Cora on deck, and then Jose Reyes. If anybody gets on, Jason Bay. Mets are behind by 2 runs for the 3rd time today. They've rallied to tie twice. Pagan swings and misses the fastball, and Capps has the first out in the last of the ninth.
Well, fell behind 2-0. 3 straight fastball strikes. Cora bunted last night, and don't think that Zimmerman's not going to forget that. He's going to be in at the corner here.
Well, Frankie Rodriguez had given up only 2 runs this year, but gives up 2 in stunning fashion on a bomb by Roger Bernardina, who had never hit a big league home run before today. Cora takes a fastball up and away for ball 1. Now the Mets try and rally and bail him out.
You just got to know, Matt Capps, that the 1-2 hitters are going to be taking a strike. It's a gimme strike. There you go.
Alex is 2 for 4 today. Singled home a run in the 5th. Had another base hit to start the 7th. Reyes is on deck. Mets have been out hit 11-8, and they trail 6-4 in the 9th. And Cora grounds one right to Guzman. And quickly Capps has 2 outs. And the Mets are down to their last. Well, the Mets have not won a rubber game this year. If they drop this one, they'll be 0-6 in rubber games. And they'll have to settle for a 500 homestand with 8 games on the road to follow.
Same thing here with Jose. He'll be taking a strike.
Reyes is 1 for 4, double down the right field line to drive in a run in the 5th, then failed to get a sacrifice bunt down in the 7th and wound up grinding into a double play. And Reyes takes a strike. Reyes trying to get aboard and get Bay to the plate as the tying run. In the dirt, 1-1.
It's really been a good ball game. Long. I don't know how they play these games so long, but it's been a good ball game.
Well, how about Pelfrey? 119 pitches in 5 2/3. That's long. Reyes 1 for 6 in his career against Capps. And he bounces one slowly. In comes Guzman, makes the quick toss in time, and the ball game is over. Capps with a 1-2-3 ninth for the save. Roger Bernardina with the big day for the Nationals with his first 2 major league home runs and a catch that saved 3. That's 6 runs to the good for Bernardina, and the Nats win at 6-4 to take the rubber game of the series.
Well, you're not kidding right there. The Mets out hit 11-8 by the Nationals. Both teams made an error, but Bernardino, the hitting hero and the defensive star. And there you see the finals right there. Francisco gets his first loss. Matt Capps 14 of 14.
And how about Tyler Clippard? He gets himself another relief win. He's now 7-1, bouncing back from his loss last night. K-Rod suffers his first loss as he gives up his third and fourth runs of the season. Well, tomorrow the Mets begin an 8-game road trip with the first of 4 in Florida with Santana against Johnson. 6:30 the coverage on SNY for the start of the series down in sunny, warm Florida. Antithesis here today in Flushing. But Roger Bernardino comes from Curacao, where it's pretty warm. Had himself a hot day today. His first 2 home runs and a great catch.